Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and you're listening to The Drive on this September 11th. It's 23 years now since that fateful day in 2001 that we all remember so vividly. I'll be talking about that in the next hour. I want to start off the top of our show, though, by opening up the phone lines at 615-737-9986. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I have some very strong feelings about what happened last night. But before I throw that out there, I want to know what you thought. You know, I'm not going to spend a great deal of time playing a lot of the cuts. Why replay that which you know so well? You watched it. You were interested in it. You have an opinion about it. Share that opinion with me now at 615-737-9986. And after I listen to everybody who has a thought about it, I will then reveal to you what I think about it. So that's the plan right now, 615-737-9986. Immediately after the debate, Donald Trump felt like it went pretty well for him.
Advisors are worried that, that you took the bait from Kamala Harris tonight. What would you say?
Great debate tonight. This was my best debate. We had a 92% rating in one poll. We had an 86% rating in another. We had 77% in another. We won every one of the polls that came out tonight. There were quite a few of them.
You were asked if you would veto a national abortion ban, and you did not say yes or no. What is your answer to that?
So all you have to do is check it. It was a perfect answer on abortion, and I've done a great job in that, and I brought our country together. Thank you.
Yes or no?
And there you go. And here is later this afternoon. He was in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, for the commemoration there today, and he was asked, "Would you do another debate?"
Why won't you commit to a second debate with Kamala Harris if you believe?
A second debate because she lost tonight very badly. So they immediately called for a second debate because they lost. So we'll think about that. But she immediately called for a second. Look, we're looking at polls. We're looking at polls. The worst poll that we've had was 71 that I see, 71% to like 24 or 25%.
All right, so the president obviously says he feels like he won the debate. I'd like to know what you think about it. 615-737-9986. We start with Phyllis from Fairview. Phyllis, good afternoon. You saw the debate. Donald Trump said he won. What do you think?
Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my call. I think that he won in the sense that he made very valid points, and he did harp on the illegals, etc., but he explained it in detail to the point where even on the illegals, he told Kamala Harris, you can sign a bill, you can go down there, you can close the borders, because she never, if you noticed, had an answer about it.
Right.
Because she's not going to stop it. Even the abortion, he did have an answer. It's in the state's hands. That's it. Done. Finished. Finito. We're done. People don't want to accept his policies. Fine. Don't act like he doesn't know what he's talking about. Additionally, if you looked at his body language, his mouth when it kept moving, and his eyes, he actually, you could see it, felt it was a waste of time. He felt that I'm not here. This is not a joke. She's harping on 2025. No matter whether he denied or not, she just spewed lies and tried to put doubt in people's minds. And he knew that was going on. You could see it in his face. The other thing is he doesn't want to come across as the big, bad orange man. Let's talk down to her. Let's be rude. Let's get loud. He didn't want to do that. So he probably had to, be calmer. Me personally, I think he won because the points that are important to me, abortion isn't going to make a difference to me whether there's food on the table. But then again, it is because of who funds it.
All right, Phyllis, I want to get some other folks in there, but thank you for those thoughts. Greatly appreciate it. John also calling in from Brentwood today. John, hello. You're on with Brian on The Drive. You saw the debate. Your thoughts?
Hey, Brian, I enjoy your show very much.
Thank you.
I thought that the president did win the debate. However, he could have made some really valid points by coming out on stage last night with a list in his hand of the people who had been murdered in this last 3.5 years by illegal aliens entering this country. he missed a golden opportunity there. I know he did talk about the migrant problem and all of that, but he didn't go into depth like I was hoping he was going to do and say, I went to those funerals. Where were you?
Right.
Vice President?
All right, John, thank you. Good thought. Michael, there are no wrong answers here. I want to know what you think. Michael in Brentwood, you're up next on the drive. What do you say?
Boy, I tell you, your first two callers, I couldn't agree more. Okay, here's the deal. I've attended a number of debates. I've seen a lot more of them online. And here's the pattern. If you are on the pro side, you walk away saying, by golly, the pro side won. If you're on the anti side, you would say the same thing on the anti side. The other pattern, however, that I've noticed is that even without an audience, there's still an audience out there in TV land. And you can win on substance and the facts, or you can win on emotion, platitudes, a new way forward, the party of hope and change, and it means nothing. Oh, and by the way, when he would make his very valid points, all she could do, and she was trained well, Kamala was trained well, she would look at him and with this look on her face like, what are you talking about? What planet are you from? But he had the substance.
All right, so you call it a win for Trump. Thank you very much. Todd in Central Kentucky calling in. Hey, Todd, your thoughts about the debate last night?
Yes, Brian, I think Trump won, but it wasn't by much. I think the first 30 to 45 minutes, he was tearing it up. And then when he got aggravated with the moderators and her all working together, I think that's when he started to get turned into the grumpy old man a little bit, and that's when he kind of fell apart toward the end there. But overall, I think he did win, and I don't think Harris really answered the question at all. It was just all platitudes and beating around the bush.
Thin. Yeah, it was thin. All right, Sam in Mount Juliet is up next. Sam, your thought on the debate last night. You had a chance to watch it. How did you think it went?
Thanks, Brian. Love the drive. Appreciate you taking my call. I'm kind of in the middle of the road. You know, it's obviously both sides say that they won and it was a great debate both ways, but I really got the feeling, Brian, of 2008 Barack Obama and how she carried herself well. I have to give it to her most of the time, Kamala, but I just got a feeling of 2008 Barack Obama, and the fact of the matter is that most of the left is set in their ideologies. They're buying every word that comes out of their mouths, and it's very, very hard to overcome that no matter what you do.
All right.
Held his own, but it was very good.
All right, Sam, thank you very much. Kathy in Mount Juliet also. Mount Juliet coming in strong today. Kathy, what's your thought?
I felt like Kamala really kind of impressed a lot of young people with her promises about, the housing and all the things that she promised. And I felt like President Trump didn't use his time wisely to really tell us what he's going to be doing to make America great again. I felt like he kind of let me down a little bit on using his time wisely. But of course, I'm still voting for Trump because I know he'll get the job done.
All right, Kathy, thank you. Bill in Tullahoma, we're ripping right through them here. Bill, what is your thought about the debate last night?
Well, I think he done a good job considering the fact that he was actually debating against three people. He did get kind of sidetracked a few times because she kind of made him mad. But I think all in all, I think he done a really good job. But the thing that if people will just remember what they saw last night with that split screen and how that you could see the expressions and things on her face, that said it all because she looked arrogant and she looked the look just made me mad. It'd make me mad if Trump had that look and done that. So that's pretty much how I feel about it.
All right, Bill, thank you. Let's go to Joni in Columbia. Joni, your thoughts about the debate last night?
I think what we saw in Kamala Harris last night is Hillary Clinton. She's a little Hillary. Her facial expressions were Hillary. Her gestures were Hillary. And she's got a sweet little suit wardrobe like Hillary Clinton. I think she's been getting a lot of work from Hillary Clinton. That's what I think.
All right, Joni, thank you. I appreciate it. Andy in Hendersonville. Andy, give me your thought. You saw the debate. What's your take on it?
I believe that Kamala just absolutely beat the pants off Trump.
And tell me why.
Well, I mean, she came out there. She handled herself very well. Did not do the word salad thing that everybody was expecting her to do, answered her questions on point. Trump, he just continuously, as Kamala said, just kept going back to immigration, and never really got and answered the questions that was given to him directly.
All right, Andy, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. William in Nashville is up next on the drive. William, the debate, what's your thought?
Yes. So my thoughts are that, yes, Trump won because I have some appreciation for the facts and the truth. I think that Kamala came across pretty strong. However, most of her arguments are based on lies. And what I fear is that the younger voters do not discern between the truth the way the more experienced voters might, and they may not go to the trouble of digging in. Somehow, I hope Trump can bridge that gap. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Thank you, William. Appreciate it. We got two more, and then we're going to move on. I'll tell you what I think. Eric in Murfreesboro. Eric, you're on with Brian. The debate, your thought.
Yeah, well, when I watched it, I wish Trump would have done one thing at the very end. I wish he would have said, like Reagan, are you better off now or were you better off 4 years ago? How much are you paying for your eggs and your gas right now? How much were you paying when I left? I thought Trump had substance. Obviously, I voted for Trump in 2016, 2020. I thought he argued on substance. I thought she was nothing but balloons and fluff. And if you're a liar, you can argue on balloons and fluff and do it with a straight face. But at some point in time, she has to get down to where the real meat is, and she's not going to do it. And the sad part on that side of the party, there's too many airheads that'll vote for her because they don't have substance. They're in Disneyland as far as America is concerned.
I just want to say one thing. I'm not going to tell you my thought about it just yet, but I did see a survey, sort of interesting survey, that said that where the demographics are falling, actually it's younger people who are liking Trump more, and it's the older people, surprisingly, the 65-plus demo, who are leaning now toward Kamala Harris. I was shocked by that. But I did see that. Just thought it was interesting based on your comment. Get the last thought in here. Alan on the road. Alan, you're on with Brian. The debate. Your thoughts quickly.
Brian, I think Kamala handled herself better than anybody thought she would. Trump had substance, but he almost looked like he did back at the earlier debate in 2020. Disappointed that he didn't cover more points and drive home the cost of living for everybody. I'm just really disappointed in his performance.
All right, Alan, thank you very much. Now, I'll tell you what I thought right after this commercial break, 20 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Let me tell you about the folks over at Beacon Capital Management. Are you set up to make sure that you are not killed by taxes in retirement? Hard to believe, but many hard-working Americans just like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You can be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management is here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from Beacon. Call this number, 615-488 888-9303 or visit askbeaconnow.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Tracking Hurricane Francine. Got some advice from Nashville's top firefighter before it gets here. An 8th grader to face the music for making threats to schools today, and hear from a top city official in Ohio speaking out about what former President Trump said about migrants eating dogs. Coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, so the debate was last night. I spent a lot of time listening to what you had to say, and we'll do that again. I mean, I definitely love hearing what your thoughts are. It is very interesting to me, and I'm going to tell you what I thought now. And I want you to promise me something. I want you to promise me that as I start down this path, you stop. If you stop listening, you're going to miss the larger point. Stay with me all the way to the end, okay? I don't think it was a great debate for Donald Trump last night. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, I know that many of you liked what he had to say. I just heard you talking about it. Many of you thought it was great. A few of you thought, could have been better. But I mean, I understand why you feel that way. But I just want you to think for a moment about what truly the audience for this debate should have been. Every word that came out of Donald Trump's mouth should have been aimed at about 100,000 voters who are operating in the swing states, who live in the swing states. That's where this election is going to be decided. He played to the base. He didn't need to play to the base. He didn't need to play to you. I mean, we know what you're going to do. We know what you're going to vote. If you're in a red state like Tennessee, we know how you're going to vote. No surprises there. So, that was not a shock. stunned and amazed that, he knows where you are. He needed to talk to them. Because, honestly, red states are going to vote red, blue states are going to vote blue, and the purple states are the ones where it matters. And really, within the purple states, it really comes down to about 100,000 independent voters across 7 swing states. They will decide this election. And Donald Trump did not aim his comments at them. Donald Trump did not give the kind of performance that would have won them over. And I think I have to agree with my old friend, mentor, and colleague, Britt Hume. He took the bait. Kamala Harris laid the bait out there. And unlike the earlier debate where he didn't take the bait, he absolutely took the bait this time. Here's what Britt Hume had to say on it immediately afterwards.
He rose to the bait repeatedly when she baited him, something I'm sure his advisors had begged him not to do. In the first debate when Biden attacked him, he just kept his cool and kept going. In this debate, he rose to debating, and we heard so many of the old grievances that we'd long thought that Trump had learned were not winners politically. Mm-hmm. And there they all were, talking about how he didn't lose the election and all that. I mean, my sense is that she came out of this in pretty good shape. Now, how long this will last and is anybody's guess. But for tonight, at least, this was pretty much her night.
And I do agree with you. Now, there were some bright moments for Trump, and I'll go through those, I promise you, after we do the news here in just a moment. I'll talk about the things that he did right. But overall, there weren't enough of them. Communication is about 90% nonverbal. And if you looked at the screen, I was interested to hear what people thought about it. I looked at the screen, and I listened to the first half on the radio, and I listened to the second half. I watched the second half on TV. And what I saw when I got there is an angry Trump, a glowering Trump, and she looked poised in my mind. Now, was she haughty at times? Yes, was absolutely no doubt about it. And boy, did Trump have to work against the moderators here. There's no doubt about that. They were working against him. It was definitely 301. That is a fair criticism. The real loser last night was ABC News. But the bottom line is, I don't think he hit the right things, and I think he did not move the needle with the very key demographic that he needs to move the needle with. Again, I don't want to say that your vote doesn't matter, because it definitely matters. But the votes that are going to decide this election are not in Tennessee. They're in places like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. And it's going to be decided by a very slim margin of people in those, and he lost sight of that fact. So that's why I think it was not a particularly good debate for Donald Trump. That said, there were some good moments, and there were a few things that really resonated with those independents. And I'll tell you what they were after the news. It's 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Tracking Hurricane Francine, expected to make Louisiana landfall in a few hours, then impact Middle Tennessee tomorrow. Full forecast traffic in 5 minutes. Channel 4 says Nashville Fire Chief William Swan says the department's closely monitoring Francine's potential impact here.
I can rightfully so say that as far as our preparedness and being alert and aware in Davidson County, we take it very seriously, and we're very intentional about all the things that we do to be prepared for it.
A 13-year-old Madison Middle School student under arrest for making threats to several Nashville schools today. Officials say the 8th grader made the threats on social media. The student being charged with making violent threats against schools, false reporting of a threat. Over in Wilson County, authorities investigated a threat against schools on Snapchat, but it turned out it wasn't credible. The top city official in Springfield, Ohio, responding to what former President Trump said at last night's debate about immigrants in the city. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
In a video posted on Facebook, the city manager of Springfield, Ohio, rejects the notion that Haitian migrants in his city have been eating household pets. Brian Heck says that amounts to misinformation. While he says it's true the influx has posed challenges.
These challenges are primarily due to the pace of the growth rather than the rumors being reported.
Heck calls the amplification of those rumors by politicians disappointing.
Promising data on the economy if you're waiting for an interest rate cut, says Elizabeth Schultze.
2.5% annual rate is the lowest level that we've seen since February of 2021. So we're getting close to that 2% inflation target that the Federal Reserve and a lot of policymakers see as a healthy rate of inflation in the economy, a lot better than that 9% peak that we were talking about, just over 2 years ago.
New numbers cementing the likelihood that the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates when it meets next week. And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Here's a fact for you. Gold is up 78% over the last 5 years, and silver is up 99% in the same time period. Meanwhile, U.S. dollars lost 25% of its value since 2020. Government-induced inflation is stealing your wealth, and it doesn't seem that Washington, D.C. has any plans to stop it. Gold and other precious metals can be a great shield against that inflation theft. Listen, you know it's an election year, and you're going to hear a lot of promises, but it's, you know how these politicians are. They're not likely to change anything. That is why no matter who is in office, gold protects you from the D.C. spending spree. And where do you get that protection? Well, reach out to my friends Kyle and Hannah at Nashville Gold and Coin. They will take good care of you and keep you well informed on all precious metals opportunities. Please act now and get your shield against out-of-control government spending. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com and set up your appointment today. All right, it is 37 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I hope, still your friend and radio buddy. I mean, I know many of you are heard what I had to say on before the news, and you may disagree with me. Listen, it's my job each day to tell you what I honestly think, not necessarily to tell you the things you want to hear. And I know that the debate resonated well with you. I don't think it did very well among the independents, which is really, honestly, I'm sorry. This is very simple. If you don't understand the concept that this election is going to be decided by a small number of independents in a small number of states, then you don't have even a fundamental understanding of politics. It's just the way it is. And you've got to play that game. He's got you. And he's grateful for you, and he's got me. I'm going to vote for him. Don't get me wrong, but he did not resonate with the audience that I thought he should have resonated with. Okay, now that said, I think there were some moments, really good moments. You know, have you ever, you know what a focus group is? Focus groups where you get a bunch of people together and you have them either react in real time to a speech, or you ask them questions to elicit their response. And so, you know, one of the best things that is out there right now is that Fox News has this sort of running thing. Everybody, they got Democrats, they got Republicans, they got people who are independents, and they are all given a little dial as they watch the debate. And when they get a response they like, they turn it up. And the little graph goes up. And when they don't like it, they go down, and the little graph goes down. All right, so what did Republicans and independents both like? They loved it. They absolutely loved it when Trump talked about the economy.
She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done.
Well, that resonated with people. That really worked because, you know what? That's the experience that many Americans are having. Oh, I mean, the Democrats didn't like it when he said that, but I mean, I'm telling you, when he started down that pathway, the graph went off the charts, which gives me hope because, honestly, if you go by the old standard, you know, people will vote their pocketbooks, and that gives me great hope about the future. So on economics, when he talked about, you know, how bad things are right now, it worked. It worked. It was a great message. And we've known that all along. That's a message that resonates. That's a message that resonates. So that was good. Here's another interesting story about focus groups. This is done by Reuters. They took 10 people who said they were still unsure how they were going to vote in the November 5th election, and they talked to them, after the debate. And here's what those 10, and again, this is anecdotal, this is not scientific, it's a very small sample, but I think it's interesting. 6 said afterwards they would now either vote for Trump or be leaning toward backing him. 6. 3 said they would now back Harris, and 1 was still unsure how he would vote. Although the sample size was small, the responses suggest Harris might need to provide more detailed policy proposals to win over voters who have yet to make up their minds. 5 said they found Harris vague during the more than 90-minute debate on how she would improve the U.S. economy and deal with the high cost of living, a top concern for voters. The encounter was particularly important for Harris after a weekend New York Times Siena College opinion poll showing that more than a quarter of likely voters feel they do not know enough about her, in contrast to the well-known Trump. The Trump converts said they trusted him more on the economy, even though all said they did not like him as a person. They said their personal financial situation had been better when he was president. Some singled out his proposal to tax foreign imports. 4 of the 6 also said Harris did not convince them she would pursue different economic policies, different from Democrat President Joe Biden, who they blame for the high cost of living. See, this is good stuff. I still don't know what she is for, said Mark Kaddish, 61 years old, an entrepreneur from Florida. There was no real meat and bones for her plans. 4 of the voters are women, 6 are men, 8 are white, 2 are black. All have voted for both Democratic and Republican candidates in the past. Harris did mention some policy specifics, including her plan to offer tax benefits to families and small businesses. But she focused too much of the debate on attacking Trump rather than laying out detailed policies. That was her weakness. Robert Wheeler, age 48, a security firm executive in Nevada. See, these people are from all over the country. Leaning toward Harris before the debate, now he says if the election were held tomorrow, he would vote for Trump, largely because he thought Harris didn't provide clarity on her policies. I felt the whole debate was Kamala Harris telling me why not to vote for Donald Trump instead of why she is the right candidate. But Meredith Marshall, who is self-employed and lives in Los Angeles, said she was now for Harris. She said she had hoped to hear more about the economy from the vice president, but still liked her plan to help small business owners. That from Reuters. Again, it's a sample. It's anecdotal. It is 10 people. It is not a scientific sample by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's very telling. These were people from all over the country, truly undecided. And in that group, then, you know, they found things that they liked about Trump. And you notice what, again, the commonality between the focus group soundbite that I paid for you one moment ago and this story? Trump does well among independents when he talks about the economy. When he talks about, you know, are you better off than you were? You know, he doesn't use that phrase, and he should. Perhaps the most effective thing that he did last night, from my perspective, and he didn't get to it until the very, very end, where he said, if she's got all these great ideas, why haven't they been implemented? If she has the answers, why doesn't she go back to Washington and start to implement them now? She has the power to do that. She is effectively, I mean, we can pretty much just call it, she is effectively the president right now. Maybe not in title, but certainly in reality, she's the Democrat that has the juice right now. So that was a very effective technique. He should have used that more often. I guess my real concern here is that Trump too often reacted instead of keeping his cool and keeping on message and talking about the thing. He talked a lot about the border. I think people already understand that issue. I think people have already made up their mind where they are on it, and I don't think many people like what the Biden administration has done. That's important to talk about, but he again, what were the things that he needed to say? He took the bait time and time again, sort of like a big mouth bass going after a frog lure. I mean, he was just on that sucker. I mean, she would talk about people leave your rallies early because they're bored. He jumped all over that. And it was a silly thing for him to react to because she was just trying to goad him. And, again, he went down that old much trodden, he relitigated once again the last election. Now, you and I may have our opinions about what happened there, But that's not important at this point. As they say, what's behind you is not important. What's ahead of you is what is important. What people needed to hear from Donald Trump was, his vision for tomorrow, how he's going to put the economy right, how he's going to, he's going to make sure that the economy gets back on track. He'll drive down the price like he did before of goods and services across the nation. He will lower inflation. He will be, a dino. He knows how to do that, and people trust him on that issue. Why? Because they lived through his first administration. They know exactly what he can do. No need to relitigate the past. No need to have a now. You may agree with him, and I agree with a lot of what he said, and we, we're still going to vote for him. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the message that he needed to deliver to the audience that truly matters in this election. That's what was missing last night. I don't know. He was on Fox and Friends this morning.
It was 3-1. It was a rigged deal, as I assumed it would be, because when you looked at the fact that they were correcting everything and not correcting with her, and we knew it when it was 100% good coverage for her over the last month or last year. I looked at it, and only bad coverage of me, no matter what. The press is so dishonest in this country, it's amazing. Now, I didn't mind because, frankly, I was pretty sure that's what they would do. CNN was much more honorable. The debate we had with Biden was a much more honorably run debate. But this was incredible. I mean, everything, so many things I said were debunked, totally debunked, like Charlottesville. I have a list of 7 different things. And she could say anything she wanted, every time I spoke, and my stuff was right, they'd correct you. I thought it was terrible from the standpoint of ABC. They're the most dishonest, in my opinion, the most dishonest news organization. And that's saying a lot because they're all essentially really dishonest. But I thought I did a great job. It was 3-on-1, and I thought I did a great job.
I think he's right about ABC. I completely agree with him on that. But we knew that going in, didn't we? Didn't we pretty much know that? That, that you were going to be stepping into the lion's den? And again, he took the bait from both Kamala. He took the bait from the moderators from time to time. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't know if it'll be a good idea to have another debate. And we're going to ask that question, I think, in the 5 o'clock hour. I'm going to ask that question. Do you think, given the way things went, that there needs to be another debate? And if, by the way, when we open up the phone lines in the 5 o'clock hour and we talk about this again, if you have a strong disagreement with me, I'm really happy to hear it. I don't know that you're going to change my mind. I know who I'm voting for, and I know who you're voting for. We're in agreement on that. But, I'm supposed to give you my analysis here, and I can't help but say, I don't think at the end of the day it was a particularly good night for Donald Trump. 50 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
All right, Nashville Fire Department reporting that Piedmont Natural Gas is on the scene of a natural gas leak. This is on Demonbreun and 14th Avenue downtown. Reports out of Louisiana is that Hurricane Francine has made landfall. And here in Nashville, legendary rocker John Bon Jovi gets a shout out from Metro Police for what he did last night on the pedestrian bridge. Details at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That John Bon Jovi story is amazing. It's a really good one. Stay tuned for details on that. All right, looking at the markets, Dow Jones Industrial's up 124 points. The S&P was up 58. The NASDAQ was up 369 points. That's 2%. A lot of green on the boards there. It apparently has to do with the reaction to an inflation report earlier in the day. John Maxon is standing by over at Beacon Capital Management with more on that.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, it was kind of a roller coaster day in the market. Early, the market didn't like the inflation report that came out. The market was down, the S&P over 1.5%. The NASDAQ down big as well. And the report was a consumer price index, which is a favorite inflation gauge of the Fed. The headline number came in at 2.5%. That's about a 3-year plus low. That was really good. But the core number came in a little bit higher than expected. The market initially had a really negative response to that, but it had a huge reversal. Again, the S&P up over 1%, the NASDAQ 2%. The market now is pricing in about an 85% probability of a quarter-point cut next week, that the Fed has pivoted. Tomorrow we get producer price index, another inflation gauge, so something to pay close attention to.
All right, thank you very much, John. And to find out about all the things that John Maxon and the good people at Beacon Capital Management, what they can do for you to help you get ready for your retirement, just go to the website, askbeaconnow.com. Coming up, my memories of 9/11. And a new thing that I learned today that I did not know about 9/11. It's all straight ahead. Restoration Wellness and Med Spa is located in Wilson County, right off I-40, not very far off the interstate there. Easy to find, great location. It is the leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. Yeah, call Restoration Wellness Team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation. Now, you're going to meet my friends Carly and Jamie, who are just the best people. They're just so nice. They're going to treat you like you're part of the family. You will become part of the more than 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, enhance your overall health. These are customized treatment plans, not one size fits all. Listen, when they talked to me, they talked about my lifestyle, my needs, my goals. And by the way, it's working for me. I'm down 27 pounds. Whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Find out about the newest techniques in weight loss management at restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And right now in Nashville, Piedmont Natural Gas on the scene of a natural gas leak. This is downtown, Demonbreun and 14th Avenue. They're excavating some more area to access. Then they're going to clamp off this gas line that is broken. So it's got the street pretty much blocked there. So avoid the area. No injuries reported at this time because of it. Hurricane Francine has just been upgraded to a Cat 2 storm with 98 mile per hour sustained winds. We're tracking its potential impact on Middle Tennessee starting tomorrow. Meanwhile, a group of Tennesseans is headed to Baton Rouge. They're going to be there to help with search and rescue just in case it's needed. Let's hope that it's not. This is 45 first responders with Task Force 1. They deployed yesterday. They're Baton Rouge in order to get in place. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 4 minutes. Tennessee confirms its first positive measles case since 2019. Channel 4 says Kentuckians may have been exposed because the patient's a student at Western Kentucky University. Vanderbilt University infectious disease expert Dr. William Schaffner says
both the state health department and their compatriots in the local health department will be conducting investigations to find all the contacts of this person and to make sure that they're vaccinated.
Right now, the measles virus is spread through the air when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. Election 2024, the Harris campaign is asking former President Trump for a second debate. And speaking to reporters on the sidelines of a 9/11 event today in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the former president says that's up in the air.
When a fighter has a bad fight, gets knocked out, or loses the fight, the first thing he says is, we want a rematch.
New York Post reporting last night's debate drew at least 57 million viewers. Couple of music superstars are in the news today. Let's start with Jason Nathanson.
Looks like Justin Timberlake's recent driving while intoxicated arrest is about to be resolved. Sources tell ABC News the singer and actor will plead guilty Friday to misdemeanor charges in Sag Harbor, New York. He'll pay a fine, and that'll be that. Timberlake was stopped by cops in the Hamptons in June. They say he blew through a stop sign and swerved into the oncoming lane, and they smelled alcohol in his breath. According to the police report, he told officers he only had one drink.
And right now in Nashville, legendary rocker John Bon Jovi getting credit with saving a woman's life on the pedestrian bridge last night. Metro Police posting surveillance video of Bon Jovi on the pedestrian bridge around 6 o'clock for a shoot when he approached a woman who appeared to be getting ready to jump. Bon Jovi reportedly spoke with the woman, convinced her not to end her own life. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is 7 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and this is hour number 2 of The Drive, September 11th, 2024, some 23 years after that fateful day that I'll never forget, 9/11. Well, I don't think any of us forget it, but it was particularly seared into my memory because I was in Washington as a correspondent for the Fox News Channel on that day. And the events that I witnessed and that I was a part of covering have been with me very, very, very seared into my brain. They've been with me every day since then. And I people always ask me, what was it like to be in Washington, D.C. on that day? Now, look, I'm not going to try to tell you that I was in the worst of it. I mean, my friends who were in New York, who were sent to cover Ground Zero, were in much more dangerous position than I was. It was a very ugly situation there. But nonetheless, I have a perspective on that day, and people ask, so I want to just take a moment to sort of recap for you, if you've not heard the story, of what it was like for me on that particular day. 9/11, 2001. It was, I remember this thing vividly. It was a spectacular day, weather-wise. I mean, it was clear, a little crisp nip in the air early in the morning, but I mean, crystal clear blue skies. Just a beautiful day. Just a beautiful day. And I, as was my habit, I was taking the train in to Union Station from my home up in suburban Maryland. And I'm coming in on the train, and all of a sudden, my pager, remember those things? We had cell phones, but they weren't like the cell phones today. The pager goes off. Call me immediately. And so I called in to the station, to the bureau, and they said, the Twin Towers have been hit by a plane. You need to get to Capitol Hill very quickly. We're just staffing up very quickly. And I had actually planned that day. I was wearing jeans, which, I normally never did, but I was wearing jeans because I was expected that day. I had been assigned to go out and cover a thing. It was a feature story involving a congressman. I was going to be on the Potomac River that day. So I said, well, okay. And if you know the layout, Union Station and the Fox Bureau about 2 blocks apart, and then another 2 blocks to the Capitol. So about 4 blocks to the Capitol. And I thought, well, I always keep a suit in my office. So on the way to the Hill, I'll zip by and put on better clothes because I never felt like it was appropriate to go to Capitol Hill wearing jeans, for example. So I made a zip by on the way to the Hill, and it was then that I saw the first pictures. I had not seen any pictures. When I came into the lobby of the Fox News Bureau in Washington at 400 North Capitol, there on the screen was, of course, what was going on. And I had imagined, in my mind, when they said a plane hit the Twin Towers, I thought maybe like a Cessna or something. But, it was very clear this was much more serious. So I very quickly slapped on some clothes and hot-footed it over to Capitol Hill. We had a little office up there, and they came to me on the phone and asked me what was going on Capitol Hill. And at that time, not much was happening. They were still trying to get a bead on what was going on. The second plane had not hit the tower as yet, and they were trying to, put it all together. And actually, Laura Bush was in the building that day. And she was supposed to be having a press conference about reading with Ted Kennedy, of all people, and there was some question about whether that event was going to go forward or not. And so I reported all this. And so far, nobody's evacuating, nobody's doing anything. We're trying to figure out if certain events that have been on the schedule are going to go forward, but that's all we have from right now. And about the moment I hung up the phone from being on the air, we had a squawk box that it was attached to a special phone number. And if you called that number, immediately every bureau heard whatever it was that you said. Capitol Hill, the White House, the other Bureau, Justice Department, and in all of the different bureaus, you would have that squawk box, and you could hear what somebody's reporting, and you only reported stuff that you knew to be true, so it could be reported. Well, this was an unusual call because it came from one of the camera crews. And the camera crew just said, hey, does anybody know why there's smoke coming up from the Pentagon? And that was the first time that we had any indication that there had been an attack on the Pentagon. And another voice came back on the line and said, yes, we believe the Pentagon has just been hit. Well, that, of course, we knew we were under attack by this time. And so almost immediately after that announcement came over, people come running through the office. Get out of the Capitol, get out of the Capitol, get out of the Capitol now. Do not waste any time. They were very urgent. Get out of the Capitol, get to the lawn, get to the lawn. So I grabbed my briefcase and I ran down to the lawn, and we have a little place out there, sort of a patio where you would set up your cameras, and the connections were all there. And I witnessed as members of the Senate, senators and staff members, I was on the Senate side, were coming down. They gathered in the parking lot. They held hands. Some were leading in prayer for our nation. I remember that very distinctly. They had a camera crew waiting on me, and I got in front of the camera and I started talking about what I was seeing and how they were evacuating the Capitol. And out of the corner of my eye, because I could see down the mall, I saw a jet coming right up the mall. And it wasn't very high off the ground. It was flying fast, and it was flying low, and it came right past us on Capitol Hill and then vectored to the north and west. I remember that. I talked about it on the air. And then I heard an explosion, what sounded to me like an explosion. And I said, we've just heard an explosion. I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe it sounds like it might have been coming from the direction of the Supreme Court, but we'll get more details about that. Well, it took me a while to put it together. That jet had just gone supersonic. That jet was headed to intercept Flight 93, the plane that went down ultimately in Shanksville. There were two pilots on board that day. Mark Sassville and had one jet, and Heather Penny was the other. I believe the jet I saw was being piloted by Heather Penny. They were told to use whatever means they had to take that plane out. Do not let it come to Washington. And they didn't have any missiles. There had been no time to put missiles or any kind of weaponry on their aircraft. So they're flying these hot jet fighters toward the vector where this plane was coming in, and they didn't have anything that they could use to take it out, except that they got on the radios, and as they were flying that way, they planned how they would attack the aircraft. They would ram it. Sassville would try to take out the cockpit, and Penny would try to take out the tail of the plane, and then eject and hope that they survived. But it could have been a suicide mission. As you know, by the time they got there, the plane it was flown into the ground at a very high angle and a high rate of speed. As the passengers tried to take over the plane, the hijackers crashed the plane in Shanksville. So that at the time, I thought, they told me a few minutes later, as I was getting off of that live shot, somebody walked up to me, a police officer I'd known for a long time, and said, Brian, you got to leave the grassy area. You got to go across the street, at least as far away as the Supreme Court. And I said, well, how come? And they said, there's another plane coming, and we think it's headed for Capitol Hill. And that was, of course, the plane that went down in Shanksville. So now I've got information that nobody knows. I've got real important information. We knew about the two planes that hit the Twin Towers. We knew about the plane that hit the Pentagon, but nobody knew there was a fourth plane out there. And I was trying to get that information on the air. So I'm on the phone. And we had a phone line right there out there on the patio. And I'm trying to call the control room in New York and get on the air. And I couldn't get through. They kept dropping the call. And finally I called and said, don't hang up on me. They said, well, Brian, we've got a tower that's collapsing. We don't have time to come to you right now. I said, there's another plane coming, and they say it's headed for Capitol Hill. You need to let me get this on the air. And the guy said, good sell, stand by. And the next thing I know, I was on the air talking about that on the phone. And then as soon as I did that, I moved eventually. I tried to string a cable across the lawn, but we didn't have enough cable, so I ended up having to leave that position and go across the street and ended up outside the Capitol Hill Police, which is their office just a few blocks away. And that's where members of Congress went. It was, for all essential purposes, it was Capitol Hill that day, the police department. That's where the speaker was. That's where the majority leader was. All of the leadership was there. And I stayed there for most of the morning. And then about noon, they called me and said, we want you to go now to Capitol Hill and take over the reporting there. And we want you to plan on doing that during prime time till further notice. So I'd already been on the clock at about 8 o'clock. I don't think I got home that night until about 2 or 3 in the morning. As I went to Capitol, I was there when they lowered the flag over that chasm in the side of the Pentagon. I was there for that. I saw that. And I was there for about a month following, talking about the efforts to recover and rebuild the Pentagon over the next month. But today, for the very first time, I heard a new piece of information that confirmed what I had, to some degree, confirmed what I've always suspected about that day. And I'll share that with you in just a moment. Right now, 20 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. If your back is hurting, you know what that is? That's pressure on your nerves, and we wish a pill or a spinal cream could solve that, but really, you really have only a couple of choices to fix that problem. Surgery or non-surgical, non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I have chosen non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. It has helped me so much. Their state-of-the-art facilities and the latest and high-tech equipment they're up to speed on the latest non-surgical techniques and procedures. And because getting better is so important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine, which is like spinal decompression for the knee. If you're a new patient, listen to this. You'll get an exam, an x-ray if you need one, a consultation, and the docs will come up with a plan for you, and you will get your first treatment. And all of that will cost you $23. And after that, half off the cost of the spinal decompression. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hurricane Francine has strengthened right before landfall. We'll tell you about that and the suicide in an emergency room that locked a hospital down today at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
24 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. I was recounting for you my memories of what happened in Washington that day when I was reporting on the events of 9/11, and I heard something today that confirmed something that I've always believed. Remember when I was there on the lawn, I told you I was approached by a police officer who told me that there was a plane that was still headed toward Washington. And that they believed that plane was headed to Capitol Hill, and they wanted me to leave the Capitol lawn, and they were clearing the lawn of everyone. And that was, of course, the plane that went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. But what I learned today that I did not know is, I mean, afterwards the large thinking was no, it was going that plane was headed for the White House, not Capitol Hill, until I heard retired General Keith Kellogg say this today on Fox News.
We were told we were allowed the military to shoot down or knock down anything that was coming. Here's what's amazing is the aircraft that initially lifted off out of Andrews Air Force Base did not have any weapons on them. And the two pilots that lifted with their F-16s were going to ram an aircraft that was coming in. We had alerted the first fighter wing down at Langley Air Force Base, and we did the time distance factor. And candidly, we would have not been able to pick up 93. And we do know subsequently to it that it was in fact the capital they were heading to. And the reason was the documents we picked up finally that we got out of Afghanistan said they were going to the White House. Well, everybody assumed it was the White House, but the pictures we got and the diagrams we got were not the White House. It was the White Capitol building. So that was the target that we know subsequently that they were in fact, through intelligence, they were in fact heading to. And God bless those Americans on board that aircraft that went down in Shanksville, because if that aircraft had gotten through, the Capitol probably would have been gone. Another thing that happened with 93, remember that aircraft was a delayed takeoff. If it had taken off the same time the others had taken off, the Capitol probably would have been gone, because we would not have had the alert. They wouldn't have had the alert on the aircraft as well, and we would have been able to alert our fighters being able to intercept.
In other words, so they had to fly out of Andrews because Langley was too far away, and that the subsequent little nugget of news there is that when they recovered documents in Afghanistan, they found out that the plan was to hit Capitol Hill, not the White House with that plane. So Flight 93 that went down in Shanksville was headed, apparently, we now know, straight for Capitol Hill. Can you imagine if they had flown a jet into the Capitol Dome? Can you imagine? There's that. And you know, my other theory, and I have nothing but a theory to go on this, but it's an informed theory, is that it's about Flight 77 that hit the Pentagon. I don't think the Pentagon was the primary target. I've never believed that. And here's why I think that. I have flown in a helicopter up the Potomac River, which is the approach that aircraft have when the wind is right. They come up the Potomac River and land at National Airport, and the Pentagon is just off to the right. So Flight 77 was coming up the Potomac River low. Remember, these weren't very gifted or special. They weren't very good pilots. It was flying low, and it was flying almost 600 miles an hour. It was really flying fast. You know, most jetliners fly around 450, 500 miles an hour. This was going 600 miles an hour, low and fast. And when you're coming up low and fast up the Potomac, you really can't see the White House. It's hard to find from the air. It's hard to spot from the air. I think the White House was their primary target, but they overshot the target. I've always thought that the Pentagon was their secondary target. In other words, my belief is, and it's sort of backed up a little bit by what I've learned today, is that I think that they wanted to take out the White House with one and the Capitol with the other. Now, we'll never know that for sure, but that has always been my belief, and I don't think, if you're going to take out the Capitol, why would you then want to take out the Pentagon? Wouldn't it be more, if you wanted to make a political statement, which is what this was all about, when you want to try to take out the White House? Seems to me that that was the case. But one way or the other, we now know, and I had not heard this until today confirmed, that Flight 93 was not headed for the White House. It was headed right where I was standing, Capitol Hill. Man, what a day. I'll never forget it. Occasionally I'll see a documentary. I can't watch them anymore because when I see a documentary about 9/11 and I start to watch it, I start to have a little PTSD. I really do. The feelings that I felt on that day come roaring back, and they will be with me ever. It is 30 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock. Time for the news.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories right now downtown, just across the street from us. Piedmont Natural Gas working to cap a leak near the tin roof on Demonbreun downtown, down there by the naked statues. It's backing up traffic trying to get to I-40. Hurricane Francine has strengthened to a Cat 2 storm with 98-mile-per-hour sustained winds right before it makes landfall. About 45 Tennessee first responders with Task Force 1 are staging in Baton Rouge in case they're needed for search and rescue there in Louisiana. We're tracking the storm's impact when it reaches Middle Tennessee tomorrow morning. We'll tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, authorities are investigating after a man committed suicide at Murray Regional Hospital this afternoon. Channel 4 Steve Mailing.
And it was in an area of the hospital that sees so much traffic in and out of those doors. Hospital leaders telling us that a man went into the emergency department, straight to the public restroom. That's where he shot himself in the chest. We are told by hospital leaders, luckily nobody else was harmed. Hospital leaders adding that no one was also in that bathroom at the time of the shooting. Now we're told staff tried life-saving measures, but they were unsuccessful. The hospital CEO said that he was proud of the response from hospital security staff as well as local law enforcement here in Columbia.
No names have been released there. And in money news, Chuck Sievertson.
Stocks were mixed most of the day on Wall Street, with investors reacting to the latest inflation data. That is until chipmaker NVIDIA led a bounce back. The Dow up 125 points, the Nasdaq up 370, and the S&P 500 gained 59. The Labor Department reported an August consumer price index that's 2.5% higher than last year. But so-called core prices, which include things other than food and gas, rose 0.3% compared to July, more than economists expected. That led to worries that the Fed might not cut rates as much as expected next week. But tech shares fueled a late session rally fed by NVIDIA and its chief speech at a Goldman Sachs conference. Campbell's is ready to say goodbye to the soup in its name, instead hoping to change to the Campbell's Company. The U.S. Consumer Watchdog has found that low-income families typically pay as much as 60 cents per dollar in fees when paying for school lunches electronically.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Let me talk about Grace Point Healthcare. They're in Franklin, Main Street in Franklin. Listen, they're known for affordable, and comprehensive medical care that is also what? Convenient. That's right. You remember. Listen, there's some things you might want to think about. If you got kids and they're playing sports this year, they have to get that physical. You know how that goes. Well, Grace Point provides complete physicals for kids of all ages. If you're scheduling an international trip or a vacation, Grace Point offers complete travel immunization and is CDC certified for yellow fever and all other international immunization protocols. And because they see you the same day or the next day, you just don't have to wait around days or weeks to see a doctor. What good is that? What good is it having a doctor if you can't see him when you need him? That's modern medicine at your convenience, delivered the old-fashioned way. Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868 to set up an appointment.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 38 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Time to check in, as we often do on Wednesdays when our schedules align. Today we're lucky. It's Pete Hegseth from Fox and Friends Weekend Edition. And when he's not doing that, he lives right here in Middle Tennessee in Sumner County. Pete, it was great to catch up with you briefly at the TFA event, the Tennessee Firearms Association event last weekend. You gave a very spirited defense of the need for true constitutional carry in the state of Tennessee and a strong defense of the Second Amendment. I thoroughly enjoyed your speech.
Well, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. It was great to see you in person. Great to meet your wife and say hello. And yeah, what a great group of patriots alive and well in Tennessee. So it was an honor to be there.
Yeah, it was a good event, and it always is a good event, by the way. Well, okay, so let's get right down to topic number one. You know what it's going to be. The debate last night, we've had a lot of conversation on this station about it today. What was your take on it?
My take is that it won't fundamentally alter the trajectory of the race. I think what you have left on the table, as far as people undecided in this race, are folks who know their life was better under Trump than under Biden, and they need an excuse to vote for Trump. And I don't think he undid that last night. I just don't think he locked it in, which is why I wouldn't be surprised if there's another debate. I mean, candidly, listen, she was a demonstration that doing your homework pays off. You spend 2-3 weeks studying for nothing but a debate, and you can your lines and you script your bait. And she knew exactly what buzzwords would create constant. And if you know Trump, and I know him, and people spend time with him, there's certain topics that he's always going to litigate. He's always going to answer. And you know, if you bring up crowd size, if you bring up he inherited $400 million and not $1 million, or you bring up, you know, John McCain, or you bring up January 6th, or you bring up 2020, he's going to respond to it. And they knew that. And so at one level, I thought he was very disciplined with his he had a good emotional his disposition, his emotions were in check. He was in charge. But when it came to his answers, he spent too much time litigating things he didn't need to. Yeah. And of course, he was playing 3-on-1. We all know that. It was a sham of a debate. The moderators were horrific.
I agree.
But, you know, his last answer was a great answer that he should have given over and over and over again, which is, you've had 3.5 years. You've been there. Why didn't you do it? And really hammering her on what is your real position. So it was, you know, if you're a Trump supporter, you love him coming out of it no matter what, but you wish it had been a slam dunk. And it wasn't. But it was also, I don't think it makes the race any less likely for Trump to win. He's going to have plenty of time to steady the ship.
So, you said almost exactly what I said in the 3 o'clock hour when I revealed to the audience what I thought about it. But a lot of people like it. But I keep trying to remind people here in Tennessee, you're not the audience that he needs to reach. We know how Tennesseans are going to vote. We know, you know, the politics of this state. You have to think sort of beyond the end of your nose. Who did he really need to talk to? And he probably needed to win over about 100,000 independent voters across 7 states. That's really what this is going to come down to, don't you think?
Yep, exactly. And I think, and I know a lot of those independent voters. They're maybe family members who are former Democrats or whatever, and they don't like what Biden's done to the economy and to the country. And they recognize, I don't want to vote for this guy. I just need to be assured that it's okay to vote for Trump. That, you know, I'm not going to have chaos. I'm not going to have this. And I don't think he hurt his chances with those folks. I do think, because I don't think there's a lot of people just jonesing to vote for, can't wait to vote for Kamala. She didn't have any substance. There was no substance there. She didn't answer any policy questions. When they asked her about flip-flops, she said one thing about fracking and didn't talk about anything else, and they didn't follow up at all. I mean, that was the frustrating part, is that all should have been litigated a lot harder than it was. You are exactly right. It's that small sliver of people, and I think it's going to come down to continuing to define her. And, you know, she's not going to do that many more interviews, so they're going to have to pay to get on the airwaves to define her for who she is. And she's got money, too, though. Exactly. Of course. I mean, this is going to be close, Brian. This is going to be, you know, the betting markets have it basically 50-50, and common sense would tell you that Trump should run away with it. But he's a known quantity. She's an unknown quantity. However she gets defined is gonna be a determinant of that 100,000. Listen, everybody listening to this knows I love Donald Trump. I support him. I believe in his agenda, and I'm not going to apologize for what he says. But I wish he'd come harder last night. Yeah, I wish it had been more on her flip-flops, I mean, there were some great one-liners, but there were some opportunities to really flip the script on her, and I just think there was too much time on other stuff. And so I hope he accepts another debate and body slams her metaphorically with a little bit more, you know, intentionality, because if you do that, you can land a knockout punch. It was almost as at the end of the speech, he remembered, oh yeah, I'm supposed to say this, and he hit the line about it. You know, if she's got such great ideas, why hasn't she already implemented them? Why doesn't she implement them tomorrow? That was the thing to say, because it absolutely, in a very short matter of seconds, really brings it down to, you know, look, they haven't succeeded. What makes you think they're going to succeed now? Yeah. And if there's one fault of Trump, it's that he answers the question, and he'll address what you address him with, and you want him to pivot like a politician, but he's not a politician, and so you what you see is what you get. And I think problem is, in the first 10 or 15 debates, the tone 15 minutes of a debate, the tone and tenor is set. And she was nervous, clearly. She was kind of smacking her lips, but she got her feet underneath her. They tossed her the abortion topic early. She got comfortable with that. They talked about tariffs instead of the economy. They made sure at every turn she had a pause and a moment to get herself set while they went after Trump. I mean, and that's where I also think smart viewers, and I had a lot of friends, apolitical types, who watched the debate and hit me up and said, that was not fair. What was that?
Yeah, he got fact-checked 5 times, and she never got fact-checked, as far as I can recall.
Well, and the questions, the way they were answered is, Mr. Trump, how do you defend X, Y, Z?
Yeah.
Whereas with Kamala Harris, it's, tell us about your policy. It's even just those subtle differences in how the questions are asked.
Yeah. So, if you had to guess, do you think there'll be a second debate?
Yeah. Hey, one argument Trump's making today, which I think is fair, is that if you really think you won the debate and you're gonna sail to election, you don't call for another debate right away. They're not that confident in her. So the fact that she came out of it and called for another, I think shows they still need more of a boost than they got. And I think he accepts it. I mean, the problem is she's never going to accept a debate on anywhere near a fair moderating terms. You're always playing an away game. And I think an away game is worth it with a little bit more focus on how you do it. I hope he does. I hope there should be a debate, early October, I hope. And I think it would be to his advantage.
Yeah, I hope that would be the case as well. I think if he is willing to put in the book work, if he's willing to actually do debate prep. I mean, she did her prep, and it showed. She was loaded for bear. She knew exactly how to get his goat. You talked about the size of the rallies. We had a complete, once again, relitigation of the last election. And no matter how you feel about that, it doesn't matter, because that's behind us. It's not important right now. What is important is what's ahead of us. And he didn't take the advantage to try to walk away from that. And again, I have to say, the real losers in this debate were ABC. I mean, honestly, they did not comport themselves well on the stage. Well, all right.
They serve the interest of their management, who are all in the tank. I mean, they are Democrats helping Democrats, and you're right. They only reinforce their image.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see how this all, shakes out in a few days when we start to see, new poll numbers come in. I don't put much faith in these flash polls that they do overnight. Do you?
No. You mean they're like the online stuff, flash polls?
Well, but some people actually do call people and get. But But I sort of think that it takes a while for people to sort of digest. I mean, a lot of people watch the debate, but a lot of people form their opinion on what they see in the clips the next day. A lot of people watch it for a few minutes and they say, I can't watch this anymore. They tune out. So they may have missed part of it. And I think there are a fair number of people who did that. I haven't heard how the numbers were, but I would not be surprised if once again Fox News dominated. And it was really funny the last time CNN did the debate, but Fox had the better numbers because but it'll be interesting to see.
A really smart point you make, Brian. It's the aftermath. I mean, think about it. Even if you're honest with yourself, you watch it and someone else gives you a take, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't look at it that way. I think snap polls may give you a little bit of a glimpse, but give it 3-4 days and we'll have a real sense of what impact this had.
Yeah, I think you're right. And so the next debate is the vice presidential debate. Do they matter?
I don't know. I mean, it's just the undercard. Unless there's some gigantic mistake or revelation, I think J.D. Vance is really good on interviews. He's not going to walk into some trap. But they're going to do cat lady and this and this. I mean, they're going to come at him the same way. And Walz, for all his lies, has done this stuff before too. So I don't expect a lot of movement out of that debate, but it could get fiery.
Yeah, let me ask you one other question. Do you think this is among the hosts of this radio station? We've been having a running debate about whether or not we think this matters. Does Taylor Swift's endorsement help Kamala Harris in any significant way?
I want to say no. I hope it's a no. Everybody really already knew where she stood. She's endorsed Democrat before. The assumption is that she would go in that direction. I don't think it has a meaningful difference. I mean, maybe on the margins, as far as a little bit of voter enthusiasm amongst young girls who really idolize her and would be willing to think about registering and going out to be part of, her fangirl out. But I don't think it's not a targeted endorsement, meaning, so she pulls out a lot more younger voters in California or in, it's not as if these are young people focused in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and North Carolina. So maybe, but it's not a game changer. No.
There was an interesting story that I saw in Woke Spy that said that there is a poll out there. If you do the internals of the New York Times Siena poll, which, most people say that's a pretty reliable poll, was apparently in the last election one of the most reliable polls, that it's really interesting that it is the young people who are leaning now more and more toward Donald Trump, and the 65 plus group that is now leaning toward Kamala Harris. I was very surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, some of those crosstabs were pretty surprising. Well, I think we've talked about this before. Being a young Christian, heterosexual, white male is the new rebel, right? It used to be, that's called bucking the system. And do you really want Tampon Tim and, sex changes for illegals with Kamala Harris and the fake cackling laugh, or do you want, the billionaire who bucked the system himself and is politically incorrect? So I don't think it's much more a gender gap than it is an age gap. It's just the mommy party, the daddy party at this point. But it is surprising. It actually gives me a little bit of hope.
Me too. All right. It's always good to talk to you. It's good talking to you, Pete.
Brian.
We'll talk to you again soon. It is 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. I've been talking some time now about King & Associates Insurance in Brentwood, been in 25 years in this area as an independent agency. And, you may say, well, okay, that's nice. What does it mean? Well, when you're an independent agency, it means that you can shop around. You can find the best deals. You can say, okay, what is your need? And then the agent can go out there and find a policy that really meets your needs. And at the end of the day, what are you getting in that regard? You're going to get more insurance for less. That's right. More bang for your buck, and that's what you want. So, don't just go to that internet company that has one product and that's all they're going to offer you. Let them shop around for you. See what they can find. You call this number, 615-329-8121. You're not going to get a phone tree. You're not going to get a recording. You're not going to get, irritated. You're going to get an actual person who will answer your call, solve your problem, and move on. That's right. Not going to waste your time. It's worth it just for that. Multi-policy discounts, 20, 25, 30, 35%. Huge savings are possible if you bundle. So get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance. Log on to tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates. Royal treatment and great rates.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Crews still working on that gas leak, blocking traffic, trying to access I-40 from Demumbrian over here on Music Row. Suicide at a Middle Tennessee hospital today, and a fight on a Metro school bus this afternoon. Then a student's mother pulls a gun. Details at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, and coming up here in just a few moments, we'll open up the phone lines again if you want to get in and get on early. 615-737-9986. You've heard from the politicians. You've heard from the pundits. Let's hear from the people. What did you think about the debate last night? And maybe you want to disagree with me about the position that I have held on this. Hey, we can still be friends. It's fine. Yeah, let's just be nice. 615-737-9986. All right, look, if you have pain in your back, let's just talk about what that really is. It's very likely pressure on your nerves. And if that's the case, there's not a pill, there's no special cream that you can apply that will solve that problem. You have a couple of choices. One is surgery. The other is non-invasive spinal decompression. I choose non-surgical, non-invasive spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Now, they have state-of-the-art facilities. They have amazing technique, high-tech equipment that offers the latest non-surgical techniques. Getting better is important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, so they're offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression, but it works on the knee. And here's what you get. You're going to get an exam if you're a new patient. You're going to get consultation. They will come up with a plan of treatment, and you'll get your first treatment, and all of that will only cost you $23. After that, remember, spinal decompression is half off. I'm Brian Wilson. I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville, so call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at paintisbad.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Piedmont Natural Gas crews still working to cap that leak near the Tin Roof Bar over here on Demumbrian downtown. It's backing up traffic trying to get to I-40 from Music Row. Hurricane Francine has now strengthened to a Cat 2 storm with 100-mile-per-hour sustained winds. Meanwhile, about 45 Tennessee first responders are staging in Baton Rouge in case they're needed for search and rescue when this thing passes through. We're tracking its impact when it reaches Middle Tennessee tomorrow morning. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, authorities are investigating after a man committed suicide at Murray Regional Hospital this afternoon in Columbia. Channel 4 cite sources who say it was pastor and former mayoral candidate David Baker, who was arrested and charged with sexual battery yesterday afternoon. Baker bonded out of jail early this morning, and Channel 4 sources say he then went to the hospital's emergency department, entered a public bathroom, and shot himself in the chest. Here's reporter Steve Mailing.
We are told by hospital leaders, luckily nobody else was harmed. Hospital leaders adding that no one was also in that bathroom at the time of the shooting. Now, we're told staff tried life-saving measures, but they were unsuccessful.
Baker was the pastor at Family Baptist Church in Columbia. In 2022, he also ran for mayor of Murray County. Metro Police say there was a fight on a school bus this afternoon where one person was pepper sprayed. Well, the bus pulled over on Lebanon Pike. Then a student's mother arrived with the gun, started threatening people with it. The mother is in custody and Metro Police still investigating. It's unclear whether there will be another face-off between Vice President Harris and former President Trump after last night's debate. Stephen Portnoy has the latest from D.C.
Having previously proposed multiple debates with Kamala Harris, Donald Trump now says he's having second thoughts about that. He told reporters outside the fire station in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
You know, when you win, you don't really necessarily have to do it a second time, so we'll see. But I thought we had a great debate last night.
Harris's campaign says the vice president is ready for a second face-off, asking in a statement, is Donald Trump?
New York Post reporting last night's debate drew 57 million viewers. How about some politics with your sports? Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes fielded questions from reporters today regarding former President Trump, referencing Mahomes' family when discussing his presidential campaign.
I don't want my place and my platform to be used to endorse a candidate or do whatever, either way. I think my place is to inform people to get registered to vote. It's to inform people to do their own research and then make their best decision for them and their family.
Trump began referencing Brittany Mahomes last month after she had liked and then unliked an Instagram post by the Republican presidential nominee outlining the 2024 GOP platform. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
advisors are worried that, that you took the bait from Kamala Harris tonight. What would you say?
Great debate tonight. This was my best debate. We had a 92% rating in one poll. We had an 86% rating in another. We had 77% in another. We won every one of the polls that came out tonight, and there were quite a few of them.
Well, that's Donald Trump last night. Immediately after the debate, he saw some of those flash polls, thought he did pretty well, and so my question is, how do you think he did? And do you think that there should be another debate? It's up in the air right now. It seems like Kamala's people want another debate, and Donald Trump is being a little more coy about it. What might happen there, one way or the other? 615-737-9986. So we have some phone lines open. Some people ready to go. So do you want do you have a thought about who won the debate and how it went for Donald Trump? And do you think that there should be another debate? Do you hope he does it? 615-737-9986. To the phone lines we go. Mike and Morrison, you're up with Brian on the drive. So the debate last night, you saw it. I saw it. We all have an opinion. What's yours?
I think he did pretty good. There were a few times I was a little irked off at him. He sort of sidestepped a couple questions. How he would deport all the illegal aliens. The abortion, would he, yes or no, would he veto a national abortion ban? He sort of sidestepped around that one. That irked me off a little bit. Like, just to answer the question. But all in all, I thought he did pretty good. He got some good zingers in there. And I don't really see the need for a second debate.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Stephen in Nolensville. Stephen, you saw the debate. How do you think he did, and do you think there should be another?
Well, thanks for taking the call. My thoughts are that the cringe factor was pretty high. His narcissism shows up in a debate like that. I wish he did take the advice of so many scholarly people who are advising him. Many people said what he should do, and he didn't do it. He's so self-confident that he just thinks that like he said, that he won the debates and all the polls. But the fact is, he didn't, like you said earlier, he didn't reach the people who are undecided. He just reconfirmed the Democrats who hate him and the Republicans who support him have to go around saying, I don't have to love the guy, but his policies have been very good for my business. And that's my response is that I don't need to love Donald Trump. I just know that my life has been better off, and he's the first person in history to promise to get rid of Roe v. Wade and do it. He's the first one to do that, and that's the biggest thing that's happened.
All right, Stephen, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that analysis. Mike in South Pittsburgh. Mike, you're on with the drive. You saw the debate. Should there be another one, and how do you think he did last night?
How you doing, Brian?
I'm good.
I think Trump was quite low key, and I think that was all planned. I mean, just let him do his thing, but do it on a lower scale. But I'm just, Kamala Harris. If there's going to be a second debate, it should be after the first debate has been fact checked and put up on the screen during the second debate, because she blew a lot of smoke.
Yeah, listen, there was a lot of fact-checking going on last night, but it was all one-sided. There's no doubt about that. And there were some things that she said that were pretty big whoppers. This whole thing about Project 2025, oh, my Lord, if I have to hear that one more time, I think I'm going to scream. It was the work of a think tank. The think tanks do this kind of stuff all the time. Democrats have really, got people worried about this boogeyman that they call Project 2025. And it's just a bunch of ideas from conservatives, some of them good, some of them bad. It's just a bunch of stuff put together and bundled together. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. Reality is that, a lot of the things that they are suggesting are pie in the sky that you'd never be able to get through Congress anyway. And the other things that are recommended, some of them are not really particularly good ideas. He says he's never read it, and I believe him. And so, that one drives me nuts, just nuts. Marie in Nashville, you're up with Brian on the drive. 2 questions. Number 1, what did you think about the debate? And do you think there needs to be another?
Yes, I like the debate. Yes, I definitely think there needs to be another one. And when people call him a narcissist and all that, for everybody listening all over, everywhere, he is not a narcissist. What it's called bravery. And we in this country don't get to see many politicians or high level to the presidency, the bravery that he has. And that is why we need him in office. Last night showed us with her name-calling and her hand under her chin, looking at him like poor, pitiful him, and, oh, boy, this, old man that doesn't know anything, came off awful. It showed a lot about her. And I loved that he did stay on point. Every time she threw something at him, he came back with the border, the economy. I think he, but let's don't mix up narcissism to bravery. And that is what a president has to be. Thank you.
All right, Marie, thank you so much for that. James in Nashville, same 2 questions. What did you think about last night? And if you were advising Donald Trump, would you tell him to do the second debate?
I mean, I thought it did show he's a narcissist. I think he made me think he's brave, but he's definitely a narcissist. I'm a lifelong Republican. I'm glad the debate happened like it did. I think he did a terrible job. I obviously probably just like Dick Cheney, I'm just amazed that I'm actually going to support her only because I don't want him. And I can only listen to so many people that have worked with him that have said he's unfit for office. They're just a long.
So we can put you in the category of being a never Trumper then, huh?
Yes, never Trumper for sure.
All right, James.
And I think this country will regret it if he's back in office.
All right, James. Thank you so much. Jarrett in Murfreesboro, you're up with Brian on the drive. Jarrett, your thoughts?
Hey, Brian. I think overall Trump was pretty on message. He was pretty calm, cool, and collected, what you'd like to see. There's probably a couple of moments I'd say that he could have delivered the point a little more candidly. I think overall he had more to lose and she had more to gain, and I would have liked to see some of those points made a little better. I also would have liked to see him talking about the Biden administration prosecuting the Guatemalan who stole the identification and voted in a couple elections. As far as whether he should do another one, man, I'd have to say that I would like to see it, but I would have to have it on a network that's going to actually make her answer some questions and not wait to the 86th minute and then say that we need to be talking about policies.
Yeah. All right. Listen, thank you much. I want to get as many of these calls in because I am enjoying this discussion. Tom in Chapel Hill is up next. Tom, you saw the debate. Your thoughts, and do you think he should engage in a second debate?
Number one, the debate for Trump was a disaster. He was goaded into it. He fell for it. She got the best of him, and his true personality really came out. It's all about him, what he did, what he did, not about us. So while I am a lifelong Republican, I am still wondering if I should vote for Trump. Based on that performance, he did no prep work. She was ready to go, and she kicked his butt. Real simple. That's all I got.
All right, Tom, thank you. Interesting. We're all over the map. Tim in Kingston Springs, you're up with Brian on the drive.
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me on. Hey, Trump definitely won that debate. Now, nobody can say that Kamala Harris won. Just by the bias from the moderators and the hand-fed opportunities for her to say her rehearsed talking points. So anybody in the right, Trump could have killed over dead on that stage, and you still can't honestly tell yourself that Kamala Harris won that debate. I think he could have hit on a couple more points, but what really made me mad was the smirk she had all night. It just proved to me that she wasn't taking it.
You're not the first to mention that.
Yeah, well, it was proof. I mean, with what we're going through right now, financially, my family, it's bad. I mean, it's a complete 180 from when Trump was in office. So it made me mad to see her smirk and not take the debate seriously, because that's the way that it came across to me. She just wasn't taking it seriously. She was smiling at him, waiting on him to mess up. And, she doesn't care about the American people. That was obvious to me. So, but thank you for taking my call.
You bet, Tim. Thanks a lot. Edward in Nashville, you're up next. So the questions are, did you see the debate, and what did you think about it? And should he go along with another debate?
Did you say Edward?
Yeah, Edward, you're up, buddy.
Okay, well, I agree with the guy that just got through talking. I noticed that smirky little grin, which I hated to see. And another thing that bothers me, and just in his out in the public talking about he's going to prosecute people and send them to prison for a long time for election frauds and stuff like that. I just wish he'd keep that to himself and get elected and then do what he wants to do to those people, if he could do anything. I think he should go back and debate again, because I think he could do a lot better job than what he did last night, get more on the policies, quit showing anger. And she was very prepared, and I think he's just been out doing rallies and think I'm just going to blow her away like he did Biden.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion. I think he should go back, but I stood in line for an hour and 20 minutes to vote for him the first time, and I'll do the double if I have to this time. And another point I'd like to show or talk, my wife last night noticed that she's got pierced earrings, but last night she had clip-ons.
Yeah.
So my wife was wondering if she had some type of headset on and somebody's backstage sort of coaching her along.
There is some speculation about whether or not those earrings could have been a transmitter, and there's pictures of a thing out there that sort of looks like it, that is supposed to be like a little radio that you clip on as an earring. I've looked at it. And it doesn't look like the thing that they describe, and you can see pictures side by side of this little device, which sort of looks like an earring, but it doesn't look as nice as these earrings. I don't know. I can't make that judgment, but I have a feeling that'd be a very dangerous thing to try to pull off, because I'll tell you, somebody would find out about that. There are ways you can track that. You can put scanners in the room and see if you're picking up any other frequencies. So I'm not buying into that just yet, but I have seen those stories and I want to acknowledge them. They are out there. Barry in Lebanon, you're up next on the drive. Barry, the debate last night, and do you think there should be another debate? Would you advise him to go forward a second time?
Yes, sir. I do think he could have done better in the debate. But I think the next debate needs to be hosted by either 99.7 or Newsmax.
Well, I would love that. It would be such a fun debate, but I don't think we're going to get that opportunity. We're not on their radar, as you say. I'm going to wrap it up with, I'm going long, Joe in White House. Joe, you're on with Brian on the drive. Very quickly.
Thank you, Brian. The debate went very well. I think Trump covered a lot of points. We didn't learn anything new about her or what her plans are. And she attacked him from the first sentence that she started attacking him. And it was actually, it was very biased. And it was 3-on-1. And I actually believe that her earrings were listening devices. And so it could have been 4 or 5-on-1. We don't know. But he should do another. He should do another one, and she should not be allowed to wear devices like that on her ears. We know that Biden wore things that looked like hearing aids. They were listening devices. So, but anyway, I think Trump won, and anybody that would vote for her that is for knowing she's for open borders, and will head us straight into World War III. If anybody would vote for her just because they don't like Trump, they need to vote for the policies.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Joe, listen, thank you so much. Run along here, so we'll take a commercial break. I'll give you my quick sense of what happened last night and what I think about it. 22 past the hour. Hey, listen, something awesome is coming to Genesis Diamonds. We're talking about September 20th, 21st, and 22nd. It is the big 3-day designer engagement ring event showcasing the world's 2 top brands in bridal jewelry, Tacori and Verragio. Tacori from California, Verragio from New York, both flying in their entire lines, including all new rings for this special event. You can explore hundreds of exquisite American-made designer rings. Plus, Genesis will have special incentives, 0 interest financing, and up to $5,000 in instant savings. In addition, Genesis has an expanded selection of GIA certified diamonds for this big 3-day event. All shapes, all sizes, rock bottom prices on the rock that you want. It's the best of the best. Every Tacori ring handcrafted by master artisans with exceptional quality. Every Verragio ring made by hand with unmatched attention to detail. These are brands other jewelers only wish they could offer. But at Genesis, they have the entire Tacori and Verragio collections available. And they'll all be on display the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd of this month. Don't miss the bridal jewelry event of the year at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills in Cool Springs.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Francine makes landfall. New details about the suicide that shut down part of a Middle Tennessee hospital today. And Tennessee authorities not playing around with threats. A number of students are in serious trouble. All these stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 27 past the hour, and before we get to the bottom of the hour, let me just lay out for you what I thought about last night. I talked about this some in my 3 o'clock hour. Maybe you weren't with us, but if you were, you know that I was not particularly impressed with the performance last night. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't vote for Donald Trump and that I'm not a conservative. It means that I don't think he reached the audience he needed to reach. And as I was talking with Pete Hegseth, I think we're both sort of in agreement on this. We have a situation where this election is not going to be decided by you. I mean, I value your opinion. I just spent, the 25 minutes, getting it and hearing it and trying to gauge what you thought about it. I definitely care, but you know what? You are not going to decide this election. We know how Tennesseans are going to vote. We know how you're going to vote. You're not the audience. Yeah, I think I would say this like my mama used to say, Brian, you need to think beyond the end of your own nose. Think beyond yourself. Think about who really needs to be persuaded. It's about 100,000 independent voters and about 7 swing states are going to decide this election. The way that the numbers are shaping up, it's very tight. And sometimes those people who are independent, sometimes they go left, sometimes they go right. And if you look at it from the perspective of not what it meant to you, but how it resonated with them, I don't think he accomplished the job. There were moments, I'll grant you, great moments, and boy, I absolutely agree that it was 3-on-1. I mean, it was a bad debate for ABC. They lost all credibility, but I agree with those things. And like I say, there were moments where he talked about the economy and it really resonated. We have focus groups that can show us that. But for me, you missed, it was a missed opportunity. Was it horrible? No. Was it effective? No, in my mind. Not because, he didn't say the things that you wanted to hear, but because he didn't say the things that those independent voters who are really going to decide this election needed to hear. So, look, I think it'd be great if he did another one. I think it'd be great if he actually, hit the books on this one. I think it'd be great if he actually took some direction on this one. I think it'd be great if we didn't relitigate the past and look to the future. I think there are a lot of things that you could do to improve that performance, but what really matters, apparently, in that decision process is what Donald Trump thinks, and it's hard to know at this moment. He says, right now, probably not inclined to do another debate. It's 30 minutes past the hour of 5.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and Hurricane Francine has made landfall as a Cat 2 storm. She is packing 100-mile-per-hour winds, and now we're waiting for what she does to Tennessee. Now, the remnants should be here by tomorrow morning. We'll tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Here in Middle Tennessee, we have learned more details after a suicide inside Murray Regional Hospital. Steve Mailing reports from Columbia. It was David Baker who had been arrested and charged with sexual battery yesterday afternoon.
Hospital leaders tell us Baker went into the emergency department here, went straight into the bathroom, and shot himself in the chest. Now, Baker was a former mayoral candidate and was the current pastor at Family Baptist Church here in Columbia. He also served as the president of Independent Baptist Online College. Luckily, we are told no one else was harmed inside. Hospital leaders added that no one was also in that bathroom at the time of the shooting. We are told hospital staff tried life-saving measures, but they were unsuccessful.
Baker had bonded out of jail this morning. Authorities are working to figure out why he went to Murray Regional Hospital. A 13-year-old Madison Middle School student is under arrest for making threats to several Nashville schools today. Officials say that 8th grader made those threats on social media and is now charged with making violent threats against schools, false reporting of a threat. Over in Wilson County, authorities investigated a threat against schools on Snapchat. It turned out not to be credible. And over in East Tennessee, reports say 6 students have been arrested for making threats in Knoxville area schools. You might remember this little ditty.
You made me happy.
That's silky smooth R&B legend Frankie Beverly, best known for this 1981 hit. Well, he's passed away. Beverly was active late into his life, recently attending that Juneteenth celebration at the White House. His family in a statement saying, "We are navigating feelings of sorrow, reflection, and remembrance." Beverly was 77. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
there it is. I still love the funky Pee-wee. It is 37 minutes past the hour, time where we gather the three amigos together and we chew over things in the news. We chew over the fat. There's a lot of fat to be chewed here. So let's get into it. Brian Wilson. It's Ken Weaver in the newsroom and Chris Weber in the control room. I don't know. Who wants to go first today? I mean, anybody got a especially good one?
Well,
I was going to volunteer, but my computer's crashing all of a sudden.
Oh, no, well, you're out.
I found something, but...
You're not sure you should go there?
Uh-oh.
I want to be real careful.
It must be good.
Let's
walk delicately down the pathway then,
yeah,
Ken.
we're going to have to walk very delicately.
Chris, keep your finger on the button, please, would you?
Okay.
So we're all adults here.
All right.
And we're going to know what we're talking about. But there's this hotel in New York that is offering what it calls self-love pods. And it is to mark Sexual Health Awareness Month, which is September.
Grief.
New York's Walker Hotel Tribeca has introduced it.
In Tribeca, no doubt. Okay.
Yeah, in Tribeca. It's aimed at the recently single. And
recently single.
Apparently a whole bunch of women are taking advantage of the offers because apparently they make up most of the nation's
singles.
Yeah, singles. Guests are invited to use their hotel stay to re-explore stuff.
Good grief.
Oh, my God.
The perks include drinks that claim to de-stress and re-energize even though they're non-alcoholic. There's perfume oil and fancy soap. There's meditations and a sauna. Now, you might ask, how much does this cost?
Yeah, how much does that cost?
Apparently, there's no cheaper date than your own 5 digits, but rates for Walker Tribeca's self-love pods start at $350.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's before dinner.
Why can't you just stay at home?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, now apparently you get these pods.
Well, who knows?
And booking site Hotels.com confirms that 90% of its hotel searches for stays in September are for adults with children, but they left them at home before school started. So they can get back in time for school to start.
Oh, my gosh. I think, listen, first of all, who sanitizes these things?
Oh, I don't even want. Well, I mean, quite frankly, this goes on in hotels as it is anyway.
Yeah, you're right about that.
I was getting ready to say, but so apparently this place, they're gonna make it a thing. And
all
apparently it's taken off.
There's always a market for depravity. There absolutely is.
It's a thing.
All right, Chris, did you get your computer up and running?
I think it's working. I'm going to try to get to the gist of this as best I can. This story comes from the UK. Mother's pregnant with twins, and she had her names picked out for her twins. So she goes to the hospital. Apparently, she had planned on doing a natural childbirth. But something happened, and she had to have an emergency C-section. So the babies were delivered. They were taken to, wherever they take the babies to get them cleaned up and all that stuff. And then the mother sees the babies for the first time after the delivery and is upset with the hospital now because she says the hospital mixed up her twins, and now she can't tell which one's which, and the names are wrong.
So
apparently this woman had named her twins specifically
based on who came out first.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no.
She said one was bigger than the other. She could tell that she had, one twin was bigger than the other one, and that the big one was supposed to be I can't remember what the names were. I have to see if I can find them here. Oh, Delilah and Azalea were the two names chosen. And because she was told that one was going to be birthed first, that was going to be Delilah, and the second one was going to be Azalea. But apparently during the C-section, they just grabbed whichever one was the easiest to get out, I guess.
And they don't really know.
And so now she's claiming that the names are wrong, that Delilah...
Well, she can change the name.
She says she can't do it now. So she's upset with the hospital because
Oh,
she
my
says
gosh.
the big one was supposed to be Delilah and the smaller one was supposed to be Azalea, but now because of the C-section and the way they delivered the babies, that
Oh my gosh!
she says she can't change it.
They're not identical twins? I don't know. Does it say?
It doesn't say. I don't believe, but obviously one is bigger than the other. And she said that. Let's see. If I can find the quote here. She says they just pulled whatever one they wanted out and called her Delilah. But me and my partner looked at them and we said, we're not going to swap them back because she's an Azalea through and through and she's a Delilah. You look at them and they just look just like their names. And I think even if they come out the right way around, I probably would have switched them.
Well, then just change the paperwork.
I'm afraid for these two girls.
I'm worried about these
I was
children.
getting ready to say, man, these two kids are in for a life of hardships.
If that's your biggest problem at this point, nuts.
I just don't get it.
Paperwork can solve that problem. Unbelievable. All right, I have one here. This is sometimes the stupidity of people truly amazes me. And this is from WSMV. I found it on their website. Chesterfield, Virginia. A loaded gun stored in the oven fired 5 rounds after getting overheated in Virginia, according to authorities. Chesterfield firefighters responded to a call regarding a fire. When the firefighters opened the oven, they found a gun inside. Officials said that someone turned on the oven with the gun inside. Hang on, I'm turning the page. The gun overheated and 5 rounds went off. And obvious, the Chesterfield Fire Department and EMS said in a social media post, please do not store your guns or anything else in your oven.
Goodness.
That's one of those things you didn't know you ever had to tell someone not to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Are there things that you thought you would never have to say to people like, don't take your weaponry and put it in the oven?
Right.
Why in the world? I can't imagine a scenario where you would put something like that in the oven.
Sounds like
trying to
hiding
hide
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I've done that with a box of pizza before. I brought some pizza home from wherever, stuck it in the oven because I thought, I'll warm it up later.
Sometimes, it doesn't fit back into the refrigerator. You don't have room, so you just, I could see that happening.
And I forgot that it was in there, and
you preheat the oven, and next thing you know, the paper. What is that?
What does that smell? Oh, no.
Smell?
Yeah.
I wonder if the gun, if all 5 rounds went off at the same time.
There is a picture attached to this, and the oven, the window is blasted out, and the door is sitting ajar. Can you imagine you're in the kitchen? Maybe somebody put it in there, like you say, hiding it, and somebody else comes in getting ready to do something in the kitchen, did not know it was in there. They turned on the oven. That's the only thing I can think of. But again, if you're going to put it in a hiding place, aren't there other places you can put it besides the oven? Of all things, put it in the oven.
Between the couch cushions and the toilet tank, something,
if you're a woman, you might think, well, it's the perfect place to put it because he'll never go and turn on the oven. But one way or the other, you turn on the oven and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 5 rounds go off. I don't know. That's pretty dumb. Pretty dumb.
So I guess the police had to be called because it discharged, right?
Yeah, I guess they had to. Yeah.
Sabres probably called police.
I mean, amazingly, no one was hurt. But the Chesterfield Fire Department says, please do not store guns or anything else in your oven. Keep them somewhere secure, like a gun safe. Yes, that's the proper answer. But I don't know. That seems pretty bizarre. I mean, just, bam, 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 bam. I have been at fires as a younger reporter.
Yeah.
You go to a house. You probably have had this experience, Ken. You go to a house fire, and there is weaponry and ammunition in the house, and it cooks off.
Yes.
And you all of a sudden you start seeing the firemen and everybody else hitting the deck because you don't know
how dangerous.
It could be very dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Yeah. I went to a fire where a guy had he had a bunch of 12 gauge shotguns. Apparently, and all the rounds. It was boom, 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 boom. And I mean, you see these firefighters just running out of there.
Yeah. The other thing you got to be careful about when you're a firefighter is, and or if you're a reporter, and I don't guess people know, but as a young radio reporter, I lived with my police scanner.
Yeah.
I mean, and I would, anytime anything, we used to have the fire department handled the ambulances and the fire trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And, you would listen to the police department, but if you ever heard them dispatch an ambulance, I can still recall to this day the way they would, attention all Odessa units, 701, 707, responding to, and you would listen, you would stop what you were doing and listen. These key words, you would listen for and you find out what it was. Now, anytime that, an ambulance was dispatched, it was probably going to be something you might want to know about. And then they say heart attack, you say, okay, I'm not going to go to the heart attack.
Right.
But then if they say if it's a fire or a major accident or this, that, you scrambled, you went over and you covered it and you got on your two-way radio and you talked about it. It was great fun. I did that a lot. But you find yourself sometimes in dangerous situations because you're there as things, and you're there to cover it for the public. But I remember one time some of those little propane tanks.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
That were in the backyard. And if it's in a garage or something, you've always got to be worried that there's propane tanks in there. They're gonna explode, and it can be quite dangerous.
Yeah, I remember whenever I worked overnights there in Tulsa, I would record up a couple of hours of news overnight, and then I would just chase the scanner. And I did that until one morning I arrived at a shooting before anybody else.
Ooh.
It was just right down the street from where I was because I knew where to hang out, where the calls were.
That's right. In Amarillo, which is where I did a lot of this kind of stuff, you could park yourself right downtown, and the big major interstates that crossed Amarillo, like a big X cross Amarillo.
Yeah.
If you were right downtown, you were in the center of that X. And so I would stay up all night long, and I would hang out right at the center of the X. And so if anything happened, I could head that way very quickly. And I would often find myself arriving at scenes before the police department.
Yeah.
And one day I got pulled over by a guy and said, hey, you know what? Quit showing up to these things before we get there.
You're making us look bad.
And I said, hey, listen, that's your problem. If you can't get here quicker than I get here, that's not my problem. So,
I had a Tulsa SWAT team member tell me one. I said, do I need to move? And he said, too late, son. You're in the kill zone. He was hunkered behind my vehicle.
Oh, wow.
With a rifle.
I know. And then
I was there. I was stuck.
You get some wild stuff that happens on the overnights. All right, 50 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. All right. You know what? Fall is more than pumpkin spice lattes and pretty leaves. It's a chance to save if you need something done to your home, your air conditioning, your plumbing. Listen, why not reach out and take advantage of these great offers from Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Rude Pro partner. They are celebrating Grandparents' Day all month by extending a free Beehive membership to grandparents of current Beehive Club members. Now, you must have a Beehive Club membership already to qualify for a Beehive membership for one set of grandparents. Limit 1, free membership. They must be in the area. They must live in the area to take advantage of this. As a Beehive member, you'll receive 3 annual tune-ups, 1 aimed at your cooling, 1 aimed at heating, 1 aimed at plumbing, 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, $100 annual accrued replacement credit up to $1,000 max, and no overtime or holiday fees at all. So you can pay as little as $99 for that kind of coverage. Listen, here's the number, 615-775-7833. Learn more at busybehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number 1, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number 2, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Hurricane Francine has made landfall in Louisiana as a Cat 2 storm packing 100-mile-per-hour winds. We're tracking the potential impact on Middle Tennessee starting tomorrow. By the way, a group of Tennesseans is headed to Baton Rouge. They're going to help with hurricane response. If needed, they'll be doing some search and rescue efforts. That'll be the 45 first responders with Task Force 1. Let's hope they're not needed for that. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, authorities are investigating a suicide inside Murray Regional Hospital. Channel 4 says David Baker walked into the emergency department, then entered a public bathroom and shot himself in the chest. Baker, a pastor, had just bonded out of jail after being charged with sexual battery. Authorities are working to figure out why he went to the hospital. Baker was the pastor at Family Baptist Church in Columbia. In 2022, he also ran for mayor of Murray County. The government's latest monthly consumer price index showed prices in the U.S. rose by 2.5% across the board in August compared to a year ago. Speaking about the issue on the Senate floor today, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell pointing out that Vice President Kamala Harris had a hand in passing the bills that McConnell says sent the U.S. into an inflationary tailspin.
Since President Biden took office, consumer prices have increased more than 20%. That's the hard truth of the monthly inflation report. And it's worth remembering where it came from.
Yeah, the 12 months leading up to August, the Consumer Price Index showing prices for furniture and cars and trucks fell, but food and airline fares, car insurance and rent were higher. Now, the overall numbers could still lead to an interest rate cut when the Federal Reserve meets next week, but it may not be as deep as some want. A couple of music superstars are in the news today. Let's start with this report from Jason Nathanson.
Looks like Justin Timberlake's recent driving while intoxicated arrest is about to be resolved. Sources tell ABC News the singer and actor will plead guilty Friday to misdemeanor charges in Sag Harbor, New York. He'll pay a fine, and that'll be that. Timberlake was stopped by cops in the Hamptons in June. They say he blew through a stop sign and swerved into the oncoming lane, and they smelled alcohol in his breath. According to the police report, he told officers he only had one drink.
Right now in Nashville, legendary rocker John Bon Jovi's getting credit with helping save a woman's life on the pedestrian bridge last night. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Video just released by MNPD shows a woman who has climbed over the railing of the bridge and is looking down at the water below. At the same time, on the other side of the bridge, John Bon Jovi is doing a photo shoot. Seconds into the video, Bon Jovi spots her and walks over with another woman. They talk to her, trying to comfort her, and eventually convince the woman to climb back over. Bon Jovi takes her arm and helps lift her over the barrier before giving her a hug. During this, someone on his team called 911, and they all waited with her until paramedics arrived.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. This is hour number 4. Good evening on this September 11th, 2024, some 23 years after that fateful day when we had planes flying into the Twin Towers, into the Pentagon, and a heroic group of passengers forced down a plane before it reached Washington, D.C. in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. I was just reading the transcript of a phone conversation between Todd Beamer, who was on the flight that went down in Shanksville, Flight 93, and apparently someone he got a hold of as an operator, in which he laid out the entire story about what was going on Flight 93. And a lot of what we know about how the hijackers operated, we learned from that phone call, where he describes in great detail that they had box cutters and they claimed to have a bomb, and how the whole thing went down. And Todd Beamer, he stayed on the phone with that individual for quite a while. And the last thing that he has heard saying in the background is, "Okay, you guys ready to go? Let's roll." And they rushed one of the hijackers and were trying to get into the cockpit, and the people in the cockpit drove the plane into the ground at a very high rate of speed. Tremendous heroism shown by those people on that day. Tremendous heroism shown throughout that time. I'll talk about that more in just a bit. I want to talk a little bit about the debate and a couple of things that we haven't discussed yet. Much has been said about a comment that Donald Trump had regarding Springfield, Ohio, where apparently they do really seriously have a problem with Haitians. And the Haitian immigrants are not melding well with other folks, and there's been all kinds of allegations. And it has been said that the Haitians are killing pets and eating them. Now, I can't find any verifiable evidence that has happened. That sounds to me like something that started as a rumor and just picked up steam, but I can't find any original source material that sort of verifies for me that a person lost their dog and then they were able to pin it on the Haitian migrants to that community. However, that said, I did find this. This is a phone call to police by a guy who witnessed in Springfield Haitian immigrants trying to, and actually successfully grabbing and taking away geese that were in the park.
Clark County Communications.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I got a question. This is a non-emergency line, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm sitting here. I'm riding on the trail going to my orientation for my job today, and I see a group of Haitian people. There was about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hand. They got away. I couldn't make out the first 3 of the license plate, but I got the numbers. The last numbers was 9898, and it was a gray Toyota Tacoma they took off on. There was about 4 of them. There was 2 men, 2 women. I couldn't tell the age because I'm in a hurry going to this orientation, so I don't be late.
What direction did they go?
They went up towards, it was about 2 minutes back behind me. I was trying to get my phone out, and I saw that. I'm like, yeah, this has got to be reported.
So how many geese did they have?
They each had 1.
So there are 4 geese, there you go. I mean, now, again, I can't find any evidence of dogs or cats, but they apparently did that. That is verifiable. It got off the rails, the debate last night, because they got fact checked a lot by David Muir. But again, forget about the dogs and the cats, and maybe even forget about the geese, although we now have a verified evidence that it did happen. The situation is that this is a town that is completely overrun by Haitian migrants brought to this country by the Biden administration. So things are happening there. Here is a headline from the Epoch Times. Ohio sending troopers and funding to Springfield over the Haitian influx. The federal government simply has to be part of the solution. It's their policies that have created these surges, says Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, a Republican, but barely. Ohio's governor said he's sending law enforcement officials and millions of dollars in health care resources to Springfield, a city at the center of national spotlight on Haitian illegal immigrants. Governor Mike DeWine said he doesn't oppose the temporary protected status program under which some 15,000 Haitians have arrived in the city of about 59,000 people since 2020. However, he said the federal government must do more to help impacted communities. In a news conference on September 10th, DeWine said that dramatic surges in illegal immigrants impact every citizen of the community and said that Lima and Findlay, Ohio have also had influxes. The federal government simply has to be part of the solution. They have to step it up. It's their policies that have created these surges. He said the influx affects moms who have to wait hours in a waiting room for the sick child, everyone who drives on the streets. It affects children who go to school in more crowded classrooms. And the Ohio State Highway Patrol is being dispatched to help local police with traffic issues in Springfield. Apparently, city officials and social media posts have indicated that Haitian drivers are frequently involved in accidents and crashes. The goal, of course, is to reduce dangerous driving regardless of who the driver is. I have driven in Haiti, and I'm telling you, those people are crazy. They do not know how to drive. It's every man for himself. And the white line, as they say, is only a guideline. DeWine says he's earmarking $2.5 million over 2 years for more primary health care through the country's health department and private health care institutions. So, you know, again, a situation here. Here's another story. Listen to this from Tremont City, Ohio. The small village of Tremont City on the outskirts of Springfield has not been spared the negative effects of over 20,000 Haitians, this from The Blaze, arriving in the area under the Biden-Harris administration, and the growing problems are unsustainable, Tremont city leaders and locals told The Blaze media on Tuesday. Springfield has been in the thrust of the national spotlight as residents have grown increasingly vocal about the problems that Haitians who now fall under temporary protected status have wrought on the town, from public safety concerns to housing issues. The outrage reached a fever pitch after an 11-year-old by the name of Aiden Clark was killed when a Haitian driver allegedly crashed into the school bus Aiden was riding on the first day of school in 2023. Dozens of children on the same bus were injured as well. The tragedy affected the daughter of Mark Sanders. She saw the accident from another bus. So there you have it. I mean, apparently it is a real problem. Now, the fact that there are no dogs or cats that can be verified is not the story. The story is, here's another example of the Biden administration's immigration policies that are impacting cities that are not even anywhere near the border. Nowhere near the border. Again, we got off in the weeds, but that doesn't mean there's not a story there. There's not a story there. How did it go over? Well, you've heard me tell you, we've listened to a lot of people who called in. People really had a lot of passionate positions they wanted to share, and I appreciate all of them. I've said my piece. Let's go through what some other people have said. Doug Schoen, who is now, I want to preface this. Doug Schoen, I know Doug. I sat on the set with him for a lot of time in past elections. And even though he's a Democrat pollster, he's a pretty good dude, and he shoots straight. He just looks at the data, and he tells you what he thinks. It's pretty clear to me, he says, that on Tuesday night, Vice President Kamala Harris won what may be the only debate between herself and former President Trump. The vice president had some help, too. She was aided and abetted by two ABC News moderators who seemingly felt the need to fact-check virtually everything the former president said. The former president was clearly frustrated and became more strident and divisive as the nearly two-hour debate continued, and the vice president appeared to gain renewed confidence as she saw Trump faltering under relentless questioning from herself and moderators David Muir and Lindsey Davis. Although Harris clearly won the debate in my estimation, it isn't at all clear that this debate, just 56 days before the election, will fundamentally impact the outcome of November 5th. I say that because Trump did speak directly to his base on Tuesday night. His supporters understood as well as anyone how much bias ABC News introduced in the process. To be sure, Harris had better answers on abortion, health care, climate, and leadership of the future. That much is clear, but what is also clear is that Trump said in his closing remark remains the case. In his closing remarks, can I add, this is Brian speaking, not Doug Schoen. His closing remark was what he should have led with throughout the debate. It was almost an afterthought. It's like, you had a few minutes to get your thoughts together as to what you're going to say in your closing arguments. And it should have been said right from the start. You've got all these great ideas, Kamala. You've got all these wonderful concepts and these things that you say, and you've been telling us about these really, all these platitudes that you've been talking about. You're going to do this and you're going to do that. Well, why didn't you do it in the first 3.5 years while you were in office? Why don't you do it now? And it's a pretty strong argument because what it says is, yes, your policies have failed, and if you try to convince us that, that you have the answers, then why weren't the answers in play before now? If you had all the answers, Kamala, why didn't you do something about it while you were in power, and even now still in power? So I think that is the strongest argument he could have made, and he made it a lot earlier. House Republicans bemoan Trump debate performance. This is one of those stories where the folks at thehill.com talk to people who are on Capitol Hill. Reporters have, the cell phone numbers of a lot of members, and they were texting back and forth anonymously. They're not going to reveal who said these things, but they were being said. I'm just sad, one House Republican who is supportive of Trump told The Hill. She knew exactly where to cut to get under his skin. Just overall disappointing that he isn't more composed like the first debate. Second House Republican who requested anonymity to discuss the sensitive topic said many in the GOP conference were disappointed that Trump could not stay on message throughout the debate. She talks to us like toddlers, but is doing a good job provoking him. He is right on policy, but he can't keep to a message. That's true. I'm sorry, it is true. Many are disappointed he couldn't stay focused or land a punch. Not sure much changes, but it wasn't a good performance. Third House Republican. A lot of missed opportunities so far. It's not devastating, but it's not good. I think I agree with most of those assessments. Again, there were moments of brilliance. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. Right now, 20 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Eurofix has a very different business philosophy. They staff all of their locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop, just so they can be ready for you when your emergency pops up out of nowhere. Have you ever noticed how hard it can be to get a right now appointment for vehicle repair? Some dealers will tell you, I will get you in 2 weeks, just to get the appointment and just to get started. But not at Eurofix. Eurofix have been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without dealer pricing since 1999, plus a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car now. If you're tired of waiting forever to get your car in the shop, call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says we will never be too busy for our customers. We are here to take their pain away now. Eurofix repairs all European cars, and Eurofix says yes to speedy repairs when others can't or just won't. Family owned for 24 years. Here's the number, 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
All right, it's 25 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. We were talking about the debate, and I think there were some moments that really did hit the mark. I mean, really hit the mark. And let me tell you a little bit about what happens with focus groups. Focus groups are pretty interesting. You get a group of people who hold a particular position. You do your vetting. You ask them a lot of questions to sort of suss out where they are, and then you find out, well, are you a Democrat, Republican, or an independent? And then you, in a live debate like this one, you set them up in a room and you give them little dials that they hold in their hands. All right, so you got a little dial, and if you like what you hear, you dial it up. If you don't like what you hear, you dial it down, and then they will show up on a graph. How the Republicans, how the Democrats, and how the independents each have their own little line. And it shows up, whether people like what's being said or did not like what was being said. So what we got to have here and what you're looking for is that message that resonates with people in the middle. Because this election is not going to be decided by you and me. You know how we're going to vote. It's going to be decided by independents in swing states, a small number of them. It will go left, some of them will go right. Whoever wins that battle is the one that wins the election. It's just that simple. And if you don't understand that concept, I hate to say it, you don't really understand politics at all, because that's the bottom line. We often think about how things, how we react to them. And here in Middle Tennessee, while, our vote is important and Tennessee is a red state and we're all, largely going to support Donald Trump, I think, it's not what decides the election. It really is not. So what resonated with those independents in the focus group? Well, Republicans and independents both really loved it when Trump talked about the economy. These were the sound bites that they most reacted to in a favorable way.
She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences that are just, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done.
Well, okay, so there you have it. Those things really work. And I think when he talks about the economy, look, I'm telling you, people are struggling. People are having a hard time. Things are costing about 20% to 30% more than they did when Donald Trump was the president. And people's salaries simply have not kept up with the rate of inflation. You're behind. You've actually lost ground. The things that you could do, 3 or 4 years ago, with the amount of money you made, and you could make it go a lot further than you can today. And that is just true. It's absolutely true. And so, if you want to talk about something that resonates with people, I mean, what have we always been told? That people vote their pocketbooks. People vote, how they're doing financially. It's the economy, stupid, wrote James Carville, and he's right. He was right when he said it, and he's right now. And again, Donald Trump needs to talk about, the fact, number one, that, you had it better than I when I was president. And I tell you what, I think at this point, I think he would be well served in this sort of line that he's used a couple of times. Hey, you may not even like me, but you need to vote for me because I'm going to give you the policies that will let you prosper. You're going to do better under Trump than you're going to do under her. And if she had all the answers, here's the second part of the message. It's pretty simple. Why hasn't she done something before now? It destroys her. It destroys her argument that I've got all the answers. I've got all the answers. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I think we also need to find a way to hold her more accountable to her past positions. She actually did endorse decriminalizing all drugs. She actually did support the idea of taxpayer-funded gender surgeries for illegals. That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, will that change things? I don't know, but I have a feeling if you talk about the economy and you try to pin her ears back on the things that she has stood for, that has changed, and that'll probably have to be done by advertising at this point. There's still a chance. It wasn't a total disaster. But I think I most agree with the sentiment that it certainly was a missed opportunity. 30 minutes now past the hour. Let me tell you about the folks over at DT McCall who have been in business in Middle Tennessee for more than a century, much more than a century at this point, actually. And they have 5 convenient locations. One of them is no doubt near you. Here's the thing. If you need something for your home, if you need furniture or appliances or a big screen TV or a bedroom suite, I mean, just to think of anything you might need, you're going to find it at DT McCall's. And some of these places are just downright cavernous. You need to go and see what they've got on display. You know, Cabana wife and I, we often disagree about, well, what kind of couch do we want or what kind of thing do we want? But every time we go to DT McCall's, we find exactly what we're looking for. We can both agree on it. We see it, so that's it. That's what we need. And that's been a good experience for us. Here's the thing. They're never going to charge you extra for delivery, setup, or haul away. They don't play games with you. The price they give you is an honest price, delivered, set up, and the old thing taken away. And listen, whenever possible, they do business with companies in Middle Tennessee. They sell products made and manufactured right here, which is what you want. You want to do business with those kind of folks, don't you? Find out about their 5 convenient locations and all the things they can do for you. Go to their website, dtmccalls.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy. Got a lot of stuff that, because of the debate, we haven't had a chance to follow up on, and I want to try to do that before we get out of here today. In about 22 minutes, we will be, handing it over to Mark Levin. Well, actually, I heard Mark Levin had an accident. Did you hear this?
I did not hear that.
He had an accident, and he's out of pocket. He apparently took a fall and ripped his quadricep.
Ooh.
So I don't know what, I need to reach out to Mark and tell him, that we're all praying for him. But I mean, apparently pretty nasty thing. He's going to have surgery and the whole kind of, so that I read that just today and I had not seen that before now. So anyway, he won't be here, but somebody will be, and it'll be a great show. I can promise you that. Okay. So, things that we haven't had a chance to talk about. The Georgia shooter, at the school. His name was Colt Gray, and we are now getting a bunch of new information about this. Listen to the mother of Colt Gray, who has now gone on the record talking to ABC News, and what she says is that the backstory on this is she got a text message from Colt that morning that said simply, "I'm sorry." And about the same time she got the text message, she gets a call from the school, and she's talking to one of the counselors who has informed her that, we got a problem with your son Colt. He's been talking about potentially shooting up the school, and we're very worried about that. Can you believe that? Here is Marcy Gray.
The counselor said, well, I want to let you know that earlier this morning, one of Colt's teachers had sent me an email that said Colt had been making references to school shootings. Between my gut feelings, the text messages, and now this email, y'all need to go, run to the classroom.
So she put it together and was on the phone, and this is all now verified by phone call records and everything, and now her own story. She says, look, they called me. If you had a student, and by the way, they knew this kid was a problem. This was not a surprise to them. They were fully aware of the fact that this individual had real problems and had come up on their radar before. If the child starts talking about school shootings, that individual should, immediately, he could be hauled into the principal's office and held until police can arrive. And I mean, you've got to do that. You cannot wait. What in the world possessed them, rather than going and getting the kid and bringing him to the principal's office and making sure he's in a situation where he can't hurt anybody? Why in the world wouldn't you do that rather than pick up the phone and call the mom? Seems like, first things first. Get that kid out of there. Again, look, I mean, there are a lot of questions about this, but I think you could legitimately say that, all of the signs were blinking red on this kid. And then to have a teacher send an email to the front office saying, Colt was talking about school shootings today, that should have set off alarm bells, not a call to the mom. I mean, eventually you call the mom, you call the dad, you bring everybody in. But, I mean, the first thing that should have been happened is that kid should have been grabbed by the scruff of his neck by the school resource officer and dragged to the office until you could make sure he did not have the ability to carry out something. How did he get that gun into the school? How did that happen? That's the other big question there. So, again, a lot more things that we're learning here. Here's another version of the story from the Tennessee Star. Marcy Gray, mother of accused Appalachia High School shooter Colt Gray, who allegedly killed 4 and injured 9 last week, claimed in a Monday interview a school counselor emailed on the morning of the shooting to report her child made references to school shooting, prompting her hurried call to warn of an extreme emergency involving Colt Gray. The mother revealed in an interview with ABC News that she was contacted by Appalachia High School counselors shortly before the attack, which helped prompt her decision to call the school in advance of the shooting, which police say her son confessed to committing. According to Marcy Gray, a school counselor contacted her on the morning of the shooting. The counselor said, well, I wanted you to know that earlier this morning, one of Colt's teachers sent me an email. So it was the gut feeling, the text message, and now the email. Y'all need to go, run to that classroom. So there is that. We'll no doubt be hearing more about this in the days ahead. You may not have heard it, but Jim Sasser, 3-term U.S. Senator from Tennessee, Former ambassador has died at the age of 87. Notably, he was the last Democrat to represent Tennessee in the U.S. Senate. Later went on to serve as ambassador to China during the Clinton administration. Died Tuesday at the age of 87 at his home in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, about 5:40 p.m. Sasser represented the best in public service, said Jim Cooper, Democrat of Nashville. He was humble, gentle, kind, smart. He knew regular people, and regular people loved him. I guess there was a time when it was Sasser and Gore. I covered Capitol Hill. I knew Sasser a little. I don't say that I know him well, but I do remember him, and I do remember him, being at several of the events that I covered there over the course of my career. So there. Tyreek Hill. This story hacks me off, and I've got to tell you, it really hacks me off. Tyreek Hill, gets stopped by police before the game on Sunday. He's a Miami Dolphins star, and so he apparently, got dragged out of his car and held and handcuffed, and now I hear that the police officer who did that has been put on leave, and I don't understand why. Because when I looked at the video, what it looked like to me is that Tyreek Hill was not following the lawful orders of the police officer. And, look, when you're a police officer, and I heard Matt Murphy talk about this, and he's so right. Here's what I would say. If you're told by a police officer, get out of the car, and you get into the car and roll up your window, the police officer doesn't know what you're doing in the tinted out windows, by the way. Doesn't know what you're doing. Has no idea what you're up to inside that car. Are you reaching in the glove box to get a gun? He didn't know. The police officer didn't know this guy was a football player, didn't know anything about him. He just knew he stopped him for speeding, and all of a sudden now he's rolling up his window and refusing to interact, and you can't see where his hands are, and you don't know what he's doing. The police officer was well within his rights, I think, to open the door and drag him out and put him under. If he's not going to cooperate, put him under. Look, all you have to do is cooperate, and these things don't spiral out of control. So, I'm very much on the side of the police officer here, and very much against the fact that the Miami Police Department apparently has put this guy on leave, saying that he did something wrong. Now, look, he wasn't messing around, but you know what? What do you want him to do? Put himself in a situation where he could be killed? You just don't know when you're making a stop like that. The most dangerous thing that a police officer does, there's two things. Go to a domestic call, number one. Number two, go to a situation where you're doing a traffic stop and you got an uncooperative individual. So, again, Tyreek Hill did not do the right things. So this story right here from CNN. Miami Dolphins star Tyreek Hill admits some regrets about his actions, but called for the officer who restrained him to be taken off the force. Gone, he's got to go, man, Hill said on Wednesday in a news conference. In that instance right there, not only did he treat me bad, he also treated my teammates with disrespect. Well, people are stopping who are not involved, and they're trying to get involved, and, you've got an escalating situation, and you don't know what these people are doing. And again, I remember there was one moment where I said, oh, man, if I were a police officer, I would never allow that to happen. Said that somebody pulls up, another one of the football players pulls up, tries to intervene in the situation. He said, let me see your driver's license. Well, it's in my bag. He allowed the guy to turn his back to the officer and dig around in a bag for his driver's license. Again, you don't know what that person's digging around for. Police officers, get a bad rap on this kind of stuff. If I were out there every day, and my main goal was to get through the day, enforce the law, and hopefully, arrive home at the end of the day so I can still greet my loved ones not being dead, I think that I would be just as adamant as they are when the person is not following the lawful directions of a police officer. He's mad because he talked to him harshly? Well, how about if you just do what the guy asks you to do? You give him a driver's license, you interact with a guy, you're polite, you keep your hands where you can be seen. And look, and people say, well, this happens to black people more than it happens to white people. I tell you, it's happened to me. I've had a situation, where I did the thing that I was supposed to do, I thought, which was tell the police officer, there's no obligation to do this, but I thought it was the right thing to do. I have a concealed carry permit, and I am carrying a weapon. I want you to know that. This guy, really got in my face about it and made me, I got treated pretty shabbily by the guy because he was worried. I said, I'm not a threat to you. I'm not angry that you pulled me over. But, they get freaked out when you find out there's a gun. So I've had that happen to me. And again, people will say, well, you had no obligation to tell him. And that's true. I didn't. But I did. And so it happens to people all over when they don't, fit into the norm of what they're expecting. Their behavior is different than what the police officers are expecting. So there's all that. Again, it really hacks me off. Can I just say one other thing that's bothering me today? And that has to do, very quickly, with 9/11. I got to take a message from a guy on Facebook wanting to know, did I believe that there really was a plane that crashed into the Pentagon? Can I just say to you, that kind of nonsense pisses me off. Of course there was a plane. Of course there was a plane. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. If you are a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of those same flavors right at home, right on your very own grill. Take a walk down your local grocery store aisle, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands. You don't have to worry about over-marinating at all. And when it comes to his honey mustard salad dressing, wow, you can use it as a salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, cut fresh veggies, or chips. That would be good. A recipe used in his restaurant for over 35 years. Now, if your grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, go to johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.